can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me. And I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
How we doing? We're back already in Atlantic City at Borgata. It's foul territory. Scotty Braun, Todd Father, and Erik Kratz with you. Not just this week. You know, we got back-to-backs coming up.
Back-to-back Jacks, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. We'll be here on Friday. Next Friday.
I'm ready.
Always.
Mark your calendars in case you want to come see us in person. We will be here 1 to 3 on whatever day that is. What is that? The 15th of September as well. Today, we're talking to Ken Rosenthal in about 15 minutes. We'll get Ryan Helsley of the St. Louis Cardinals coming up at around 2 o'clock Eastern time. Lance Lynn at 2:30. He had some issues on Thursday. Fans were getting after him, and he's back now. I wasn't even talking about on the mound, but he had some issues on the mound too. But couldn't make it. He's coming here in about an hour and a half. And lastly, we'll bring back our feature that we're going to do basically every day. A little caller at the end of the show.
I love it. I love it.
The first one was a Todd Father special.
Been getting respect on there, man. That's all I ask for is respect.
Cousin
and
Abe.
You need to give me respect, too.
I won't. You earn respect.
And you
earn it.
We got to make sure that the callers are polished, though. Like the caller we got yesterday. He was nervous.
I didn't hear that one. I'm sorry.
He was nervous. He was excited. He was complimentary. Hey, I can't believe I'm talking to you guys. This is great. But also, we were like, what do you got? Let's go. What do you got?
That's the excitement of it. It's hearing your guys' voices talking back to somebody. I mean, I'd be nervous too.
Yeah, right. You seem nervous now. Also, live from Borgata, Atlantic City's best live entertainment is on stage year-round right here. Visit theborgata.com for the full entertainment lineup, and let's charge the damn mound. Let's start with the Arizona Diamondbacks taking down the Chicago Cubs, and not one, but 2 dingers from your boy Tommy Pham. You didn't play with him, did you?
Never played. Always played against, man.
Okay.
I think Kratz
you did.
played with him.
He played on the Mets, played on the Reds, like you, but he didn't play with you at the same time. You played with him where?
With the Rays.
With the Rays.
Yeah, and he is exactly like Ken Rosenthal wrote. Like, you're getting honesty. You're getting somebody with, like, an edge, but everyone hears edge, and they're like, oh, is he not a nice guy?
Yeah, true.
Like, what? No, he, like, wants to come. Like, I feel like there was a lot of his mindset. There was a lot of commonality. Like, we didn't share, like, similar likes and dislikes of things. That doesn't mean he was a bad teammate. Like, this dude comes to the park every day to ball out. And he, just like they said, he works hard. He was kind of going through his, like, eye contact thing when I played with him. And he's a great pickup. I was really hoping the Phillies were going to pick him up because, you know, get to see him local there, but he's not really a huge pickup in the outfield. But even in the article, it talks about how he cares about his defense. He cares about the little things because he wants to win every game. I just think he's ultra competitive.
I mean, he's a guy that'll go out there and give you what you want. I mean, sometimes people are like, oh, man, he's been playing for all these different teams. Well, people like him. People want him on the team. I don't know who wouldn't. He always gave me respect. I always gave him respect, and he's just a dude. He's just a dude, I call him. And that's a guy you want on the squad, and he's going to give you everything he can. And it's a quiet. At the same time, he speaks with that stick, too, as well. So, love the guy to death.
He's not quiet with the media. So, this is the thing. Does he get a bad rep sometimes, which is completely undeserved? And I've come across him multiple times, too, and had cool combos. And the dude is a hustler. I always would catch him at the ballpark. He's taking swings. He's in the weight room. Like, he is all in, which is what Ken wrote about as well. But he's a straight shooter, both with the media, and I've been told teammates say he's a straight shooter too. So what? That's cool. I like that. He'll tell you like it is. No, you need some guys in your life that are honest with you. Like, bro, I don't like your shirt, right? Like, why'd you wear that today? Yours I love. But you know what I'm saying? The guy that walks in where he's like, yo, I got a new haircut. And everyone's like, oh, awesome. And then Tommy Pham's like, dude, no, you're going back to that in 2 weeks.
100%. That is what you need. That's my theory on bad haircuts.
You need
Tommy Pham, if he cares to take the time, he might just be like, whatever, bro. Like, you're not worth my time because you're super insecure. You're always looking for, other people to build you up. Like that's what a true friend is. And I think that's where the love that he gets is from. And yet the salacious stories about him are, oh, he slapped this guy. Oh, he got stabbed, all this stuff like that. Like, actually go and learn something about him, learn something about the guy, or ask somebody who played with him. I would love to find somebody who played with him who was like bad teammate, selfish. No, none of that. None of that. He came up with the Cardinals, watching dudes like Waino, watching dudes like Yachty. Like, they come to the park and they're locked in to do everything. They're locked in to get their work in, hit in the cage, go out in the field, take your fly balls. And that's the kind of stuff that I think going to the Diamondbacks could pay dividends for the Diamondbacks, because he most likely won't be there next year for years to come.
And I don't want to downplay another human, but they traded away a prospect that I believe was outside of their top 30. So it didn't cost much to get an impact bat. That's an impact bat. And it was the case before he got to Arizona too. He was having a good year at the dish for the Mets, and that continued. To me, that's where probably some of the front office dudes that looked at him over the last few years that are too much into projections were like, man, I don't know. Maybe that was just a flash for a few months where he was at this level of slugging percentage. No, he's slugging this year. He's having a great year. He's on the field.
And he's gone to Arizona, and his production's gone down a little bit. But everything that they talked about with Arizona is how much of an impact he's making with the guys that are there, the young guys. And his production doesn't need to be elite, carry the team. This team's built on speed and running the bases and defense. They can make changes. They can change him out late in the game with a lead if they need to. So it's a team that he's built to help that, oh, by the way, just slid into the last spot in the wild card.
Exactly. So let's have a look. I mean, this team goes past the Marlins into the third wild card. So we can check out standings and or some scheduling too for the Diamondbacks coming up, because, I mean, we got a few weeks left in the season. Todd Father's Reds.
Yes.
Here's their schedule coming up. Cubs, Phillies. I'm talking about the wild card right now. So if you think the Cubs and Phillies are in, you're talking Marlins, D-backs. I think San Francisco's done. All right, so Marlins, D-backs, Reds for one spot. Okay, so here's Arizona's schedule. And if you're listening to the pod right now, we're looking at the schedule. I'll read it out for you. 3 at Wrigley, 4 in Queens against the Mets, 3 more against the Cubs, 2 against the Giants, 3 in the Bronx against the Yanks. They got 3 at the White Sox, and then 3 at home against the Astros. That's a tough schedule.
Oh, man.
That's a pretty tough schedule.
With the Mets and Yankees playing better, that makes it a tougher
Hang
schedule.
with them.
Right, those series aren't sweep series. So good luck to you.
Hang with them.
Yeah, Jordan Lawlor made his debut too, by the way, and congrats to him getting the infield knock, showing off some of the speed that he's going to bring to the mix. So we talked about him a little bit yesterday, Kratzy. One thing I'm noticing, and we'll bring that into what the Rangers are doing now with their top prospect, is teams are looking at the end of the season and they're saying, okay, either a dude's hurt or we didn't get what we wanted at the trade deadline. We've got a prospect, not totally sure if he's ready. Sometimes it's like Evan Carter, who we'll get to. He's in Double-A. The numbers are good. He's not like the best player in the league. But let's just call him up and see if he continues that. And if he doesn't struggle right away at the next level, because if he does, we send him back down. If he doesn't, well, we're in a playoff race. Where else are we turning?
You have to go to it. And I think it's a tough one when you lose a guy like Nick Ahmed, just talking about Lawlor. But when you bring a guy up, the play he made it short. I've heard so much about him. Vernon Wells talks about this dude all the time. I think same high school as his son or one of his sons or cousins, something like that. He is the real deal at shortstop. Just that one play, you see how he moves, and then the infield single that should have been an out. And he beat it out easy. He rolls down the line. So I think you can plug a guy in like that. But you also look at the fact that, I said it yesterday, young guys, they're working on things in the minor leagues. So you look at a guy like Jason Dominguez, who's probably hitting 240, 245, and then he got hot. People are like, oh, well, you can't just call him up because he had one hot month in July or August. You know, that's why you call him up. They're working on things to get to that hot month. They're working on, okay, how do you stay inside the ball better? Best example I give is Andrew McCutchen. I played AAA with him. He had gotten called up about this time. Well, a month left in the AAA season the year before. Played, kind of was working on some stuff. His natural talent was through the roof. They were like, hey, you got to be able to start hitting the ball, not even to the opposite field, because all he would do is pull hook things because he had stupid bat speed. He was starting to hit the ball up the middle more, and they're like, okay, this is what we were looking for. Regardless of the numbers, his numbers were great, but regardless of the numbers, when you have that success, move the guy up, especially when you can play defense like this Lawlor kid.
And it can bring a newfound energy to a ball club too as well, bringing some young studs up. Hey, you know what? Go do your thing, big dog. I'm going to follow you for a little bit. Why not? Doesn't have to be the veteran guy that takes care of everybody. This guy comes in, hits an infield single. All of a sudden, you're on the top step like, yo, did you see this son of a gun? Look at him go. So newfound energy, newfound prowess, newfound love for the team. They got some work to do. But, yes, with this schedule.
And same thing with the Rangers, I'll just say quick because then we got some breaking news. They put Adolis Garcia on the IL. He got hurt going for that ball who hit the homer? It was Brantley's homer.
It was Brantley's.
In the Astros series. And they're calling up their top prospect in Evan Carter to see if they can catch a little lightning in a bottle too. And we can show you a few tweets from Evan Grant, J.J. Cooper, and Ken Landry just to give a little more context on Carter and the situation here. So here's Grant first off on Garcia, patellar tendon strain. You guys are both making faces.
That's
right there. Oh, I know
it's right in front of the knee. Like that is. And the way he landed too was kind of, yeah.
Awkward.
You never would see anything with the knee, but patella tendon just makes me appreciate
that holds
my
everything
knee.
together.
It feels like it.
All right, so J.J. Cooper, who often gives us the scouting reports on this show, delivers this tweet when he finds out Evan Carter's coming up to the bigs. A massive tip of the cap to the Rangers and Carter. 2020 was a crazy draft year. It was, and there was only, I think it was 5 rounds. But the Rangers saw something very few teams saw in Carter, and they deserve credit for it. They did a great job of scouting. And I can just add, I mean, yeah, there was some criticism back then. They were like, oh, they probably reached. He was picked too high. Okay, well, they had their own evaluation of him, and they nailed it, at least up to this point, right? He has been a legit prospect in the minors. We'll see how he does in the majors in his debut tonight against the Oakland A's. And they're showing his numbers in AA, 284, 411, 451. They call him up. He's been in AAA. We're seeing this a lot now, Kratzy, too. AA, they let you sit for a while. AAA, like Martian, Dominguez, a bunch of dudes, they spend like a week or two there, and they're like, all right, you're good, let's go.
It's not a better talented league.
No.
AA is way more talent. AAA is way more brains and thoughtful. You leave a guy there, teams will start seeing him a couple times, and they'll have older guys who have lesser stuff than what's in the big leagues getting these guys out. What I like about this guy, in his career in the minor leagues, he's got 246 games, 15, almost 16% walk rate, 19% strikeout rate. Like, this dude swings it.
And I was going to tip on what he said. AA, that's what separates everybody, at least in what I remember. You get to AA, if you can hang in AA, put up some numbers there, I think that's what separates the men from the boys making it to the big leagues. Because, like you said, you go to AAA, you got the crafty guys that, the old veterans coming down like, oh, I get to face this guy, let me bing, bang, boom. It's all about working up here in AAA. But you pretty much are there if you can work your ass off in AA and do pretty well, in my opinion.
Talent is in AA. Like, you're going to have stuff night in and night out. Then you're going to have more like brains and ability to, like, how did I have success? How do I get this guy out? Game planning kind of thing.
All right, now let's get your reaction to some breaking news, okay?
Tough.
So we're going to get Ken Rosenthal on soon. We're going to show you what the Dodgers just sent out in a press release. I'll read it for everyone. Today, the Dodgers are announcing right-handed pitcher Walker Buehler, who's recovering from Tommy John surgery, will not return during the 2023 season with an eye toward coming back at the start of the 2024 campaign. And here's the quote from Walker. He said, "My goal since last year has been to return to a major league mound this season. After many conversations with my doctor, the Dodgers front office, training staff, and my fam, we concluded that waiting until next season is the right course of action. I'm disappointed I will not be able to help this team go after a title in the 2023 postseason, but I look forward to returning fully healthy in 2024 and bringing another World Series to LA. Whoa. I'll only say whoa because I was doing a lot more digging on this before we learned of this news, and we'll get more context, like why, what happened, are you hurt, what was there a setback, or did they just sit down and say, hey, we're going to kind of rush you back to then throw you into October baseball? It's pretty unconventional. I did hear from some people around the team, because we debated this, how many innings he would be prepared for. Initially, their plan was to get him ready for 4 to 5 innings. That's basically a starter in the playoffs, though, Kratz. I mean, most dudes are only going about 5 innings in the playoffs when they start. He did 2 innings last weekend, perfect in a rehab outing. You still had a few weeks that you could build up to. And we've seen guys kind of build themselves up while they're in the bigs, right? Could have seen a few innings from him, then 4 innings, and then get to 5. It doesn't matter now. It's all done.
And what he said is what really sticks out to me, where he said, I was rehabbing to pitch in a big league season. And if the Dodgers are like, hey, you know what, we're not really looking for you to be this role, X role, we're not going to really push this thing. And he's like, well, wait a minute. So you're saying I'm not going to have a chance? Like, I don't have a chance to pitch in the big leagues? Like, I think it's a great move. I think it sucks for the Dodgers. So if the Dodgers were in on this decision and it wasn't just walkers, it sucks for them. That's tough. They are out. They're out Gonsolin now. They're out Urias. They're out. Buehler was going to be, I said 2 to 3 inning guy. You were saying the other day 3 to 4, hopefully 4 to 5. I'd have a hard time believing that. Still, that's innings. I'm trying to think. I think there's someone else that they're missing.
Dustin May.
Oh, Dustin May again.
It's a lot of dudes. They still have a lot of good young pitching, but those dudes haven't been there before, right? Pepio looked really good yesterday. He was carrying the Perfecto for a while. Bobby Miller's a dude.
Yep.
Emmett Sheehan's got good stuff. They've got a lot of good stuff, guys, but some of them have been iffy this year. But what do you think happened with Walker? Like, I mean, we're probably going to get more context.
He went 2 innings in AAA, too.
So how does that happen where you do that? To me, if he did that last week and he felt something, that's one thing. It doesn't sound right? Because they would have said something.
Yeah.
So did they sit down and say, oh, wait, never mind, we're not going to have you come back in this role? Do you think there was arguments behind the scenes on how he was going to be used? And It was one of those Josh Hader stories where it's like Hader eventually said, listen, the way the arbitration system works, the way my arm works, you guys have used me in a variety of ways that are not the best for my health long term. And we've seen Hader have a lot of good longevity despite having, he's got emotion, right? Like, he brings it. It is not low stress. And he's kept himself on the field. You get 3 outs. I don't care what you say. You get 3 outs. Is this pitcher taking care of himself first because he's the asset?
I don't know. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't know,
because I have.
Yeah, I'm sure you got a good answer. There's got to be some more behind it, dude. It's weird. Like, is he still hurt? Something bothering him? Did he say, you know what? I'm going to take off now. I don't want to do this. I don't know.
Why would he say that, though? He's in the prime of his career.
We don't know. That's the problem. Do they think he's not going to be ready at the end of this month? I don't know, man. I'm not a pitcher. I don't know much about what he's going through, but there's got to be more to it, Kratz. I can't speculate. I don't know.
So he's made 8 relief appearances ever in his career.
Gotcha.
And that was his first season, only reliever. Every other appearance in the big leagues has been a starter except one, and that was in his second season. So he's going into arbitration. You also have to remember, he has, before this season, he has 4 years, 168 days.
Yeah.
They made sure he's not a free agent. This might be his chance to make sure he's 100% healthy going into free agency.
Then that makes tons of sense.
This is his second. Obviously, all this is speculation. We haven't talked to him. We don't know. But this is his second Tommy John. So why not just give yourself
another 5 or 6 more months?
Give yourself a few more months. You're not trying to push it. And I think if they said you're not coming in to be a starter, he may have said, nah. I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
So he gone.
There's a lot of chatter right now.
I think it's smart, but you look at it like, oh man, not a team player. But guess what?
Save that.
No, but
I'm
just saying that's what some people will say. I mean, we got a player, we got a World Series to win. But guess what? You got to be smart with this guy. You got to be smart up here too. His agent's probably talking to him too, I would assume.
Well, and some in the chat saying maybe they rushed him back. I mean, this is second Tommy John for him, and it's only been about 12 months.
We would have heard something if he was hurt. Right or wrong?
Right.
We got to ask Ken.
If he was hurt, if he was in trouble, it's none of that stuff because they would say it. This is a conversation behind the scenes. Hey, Steven Strasburg, we're about to talk about too. He got shut down at one point coming off of Tommy John surgery, and I think it kind of changed the way we looked at pitching. It was like, I don't care about our team and winning this year. It's about long-term, what's going to happen with you, right? We've had that conversation. It's in the same realm here. Tommy John of like, when you come back, what's too soon? Second TJ is usually more difficult, 12 to 18 months. He's only on the 12 end. So anyway, we'll preview some games coming up tonight, including what the Dodgers have in the works. We'll take some of your questions. Maybe a caller will call us about that at the end of the show. And then we'll be joined by Ken in about 10 minutes when we swing back. Poll question for you. And it's based on what we've seen from the Astros, especially this week, kind of saying, hey, the American League runs through us. Best World Series matchup would be A, Phillies Astros, so a rematch of last year. B, Braves Orioles to get Baltimore back in the mix. C, Dodgers and Astros, which we've been waiting for that rematch from 2017 or other. There's a ton of other options. Throw them in there, vote now, and we'll be right back.
Phil doesn't have a choice. I mean, what's he going to say?
That's
no,
what it
don't
feels
put these guys in the dugout?
Yeah, say no.
And then they're like,
Yeah.
okay, guess what, Phil? You're fired, and whoever...
Okay, fuck you.
No, but
Fine.
I mean, listen, Phil's from the area.
I know.
He's wanted to be a manager forever. He finally gets a shot, and then this
Yeah.
is the shit show he has to deal with.
Well, because you have to wait out if you can. You got to like grip for dear life and see if you can wait out Artie and hope that Artie sells the team. He's the number one villain in Anaheim. Am I right, John?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's there's a great word. It's schadenfreude, and it's taking pleasure in other people's pain. And even though I'm going through it right now, Angel fans are going through it right now. I mean, I think who it hurts the most to watch this team suffer the way that they have is Artie Moreno, and we're tired of the same cycle of, hey, GM, new manager, new GM, new manager, new GM, new manager, and not really investing where this team needs to invest, and that's in its minor league players. We're finally seeing some of that. I mean, I know they're rushing these guys up like Shawniwell and Neto, but at the same time, I mean, if there's any incentive to sell, it's after the performance that they've had. My fear is that he really had the best chance to sell last year with one more year of Shohei Ohtani on the team, and so I'm concerned that he's going to stick around. There's word out there that he doesn't really have any plans to sell this offseason. I mean, obviously that could change, but gosh, when I tell you that Angel fans are holding out hope that ownership is going to change, that is like kind of the last thing we can hang our hat on at this point.
And now back to foul territory.
Back at it. It's FT Live. Braun, Kratz, and Todd Father. And Ken Rosenthal is going to join us in about 5 minutes. So let's do a little game previewing while we have time. Last Minute Gametime, sponsored by our friends, our partners at Gametime, best ticketing app out there, especially for last-minute tickets. We've got a full slate of games, all of them occurring in the evening. There's arguments going on right now over who gets to pick which game they're going to first. We'll talk about the app, which you can grab tickets at. Promo code's at the bottom there if you're joining for the first time on Gametime. FT Live is the code. All caps, please. Where are we going to get a last-minute ticket to a game?
I have to go first because I got to get out of here. I'm going to the Cardinals-Cubs game. Anytime you have a chance to go to
Diamondback.
Not allowed.
What I say?
You said Cardinals.
Cardinals. I'm sorry.
And anyway, not allowed. Can't go there. I know.
Why
I know
can't
that's
I?
your-
I need to. I got to go.
We have
That's
a
why I had
show.
to go
It's in
first.
the middle of the show.
Well, if he's going.
This is the best part of Game Time is you can look up a show. You just need to know how far you are. And AC's got my PJ because I borrowed it from the Todd father. I'm going.
PJ's private jet, in case you're a new Foul Territory fan.
That's the game. To me, that's the game. I'm not going to mention any others because I'm not an AJ. I'm not going to strong arm the Game Time segment. but that's the game that you have to be locked into.
Yeah, it's a wild card matchup. It matters for both
Yes.
sides. I will say this: when you look at the matchups tonight, there are not great pitchers on the mound. Number
No.
one. Number two is you have a lot of I'm a playoff contender versus I'm not. Like for me, I'm gonna pick a spot because I know you're not going there, so I'm gonna take your spot. Ready? I know
feel
you're
like
not
you're
going
gonna
there.
pick what I'm gonna
I
pick.
promise you, I won't. I
All right.
promise. I know you. We've been doing this show for months together.
All right, let me just
I
tell him
promise you.
first so he knows that
Steak dinner. Okay. If I pick your game,
that's mine.
ready for mine?
Yeah.
Royals Blue Jays.
Oh, thank God.
I was like, there is no chance
No,
that you're
no,
picking
no.
that game.
Let's
And
all
I'll
eat some
tell you
steak
why.
anyway.
Yeah.
First of all, you say Kikuchi has had a really good season, and especially a second half of the season. He has gotten it back together. I mean, this was a dude that was potentially, if you looked at what he was doing last year, going to get cut by the team or DFA'd or something in the midst of a big contract. Like he was that bad last year. He's one of the worst pitchers in baseball. He is much better now. And here's my problem. You're the Blue Jays. You lost your last game to the A's. You cannot lose back-to-back games to the worst team in baseball. You do not deserve to be in the playoffs. And by worst, I mean A's and Royals. They are the two worst records in baseball.
They're fighting it out.
You need sweeps. And Kansas City's actually, in my mind, like they're a little feisty. It's not an easy sweep right now. No? Their pitching's terrible, but they're hitting a little bit. My point is,
I'm
that's a
not
game I
going
got to
that
go
game.
to. And they've been playing. They played close games against Oakland. Besides the one, the 2 out of 3 were close. I think they
Yeah,
were.
no, I agree.
You
It's
gotta
just
get
not
a
as
dub.
It's not as appetizing.
That's why I
to me.
picked it. I knew I couldn't get you the steak
He
dinner.
needs the bigger spotlights.
Listen, usually you know where I'd be going, but it's
Mhm.
an easy win for them today.
Wait, what? The Yanks against
They got
the
Theodore
Brewers?
Brockington
What?
Demarius on the mound.
Yankees 1-0 today. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I'm
No
gonna go to your
chance.
stomping ground. No chance. What? They don't win today?
No. There's a chance they win. No chance 1-0 with that pitching matchup. I'm sorry.
We'll see.
I'm taking the
Colin
over.
Ray and Theodore Brockington.
I meant to say 1-0, but it's all right.
11-10, and I'm in.
Yeah, I'll take the over.
I'm going down to Geno's, baby. I'm getting me a cheesesteak. I'm going to Philly. I want to see what Miami, if they got some cojones in them, man. This is a big spotlight for them against your Phillies. I think this is a good matchup. It's a battle between NL East contenders, and Miami's a half game out. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is their new guy too, because Alcantara's got that eerie forearm strain. I'm not seeing him the rest of the year. Yuri the guy.
Yes, exactly.
You
You're
ready to
Perez
be
is
the-
stud.
Yep.
You're right. They
I see
need to
what you
win the
tried doing
games
there.
when he's on the mound, and Philly obviously is trying
I'll
to
save
fight
you a
for their own
cheesesteak.
wild card. They're trying to hold off Chicago. So we gave you plenty of options. Hit the Game Time app. Use the code FT Live for last minute tickets if you need them. And I like Todd Father picking kind of the home field advantage here. If you're in Atlantic City, it's about an hour to Philly. I was in
From
Philly
here?
last night.
Right
I
to the
flew into
stadium.
Philly.
Right to the stadium.
From
Hour?
1 hour.
Yeah.
From here to Philly, I thought it was less.
Easy peasy. Nope.
No, it was about an
You're in
hour.
your
It was a
seat.
little more than I thought it was going to be actually on my drive yesterday, but it's all good. Last minute tickets should not be stressful. We're showing you what it's all about on the Game Time app. You can get those flash deals that pop up for you. And most importantly, this is the only place you should be going for last minute tickets because the Game Time guarantee means you'll get the best price. And if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, they'll credit you 110% of the difference. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download that app, create an account, use code FTLive for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, you create the account, you redeem the code, all caps FTLive for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Whew. Ken better prepare himself and take some deep breaths, okay? Because we got to ask him about the Nats screwing over not just Steven Strasburg, but also Mike Rizzo, who's still hanging around waiting for a contract despite winning a World Series for them recently and rebuilding that team in 5 seconds. We have to ask him about the Walker Buehler news and his Tommy Pham story. And that might be all we have time for. Look, he is ready. Beds are made behind him. Ken Rosenthal joining us next from his hotel on FT.
Kenny. One of them.
All right, we're back on FT Live. There's some
Sorry.
really good Step Brothers chatter going on, but we have a lot of business to get to. So if we have time, we'll talk about the Rays Mariners that Ken Rosenthal is covering this weekend. Ken, great to see you. And let's get right to the Walker Buehler news. Were you surprised? And what do you think of a player that's coming off another Tommy John, coming back for a rehab outing, and then saying, I'm done, but we didn't hear like I'm hurt or anything. So what did you take from it?
Never surprised when a pitcher coming off a Tommy John like this says, okay, I'm not ready. And it was always going to be a race against time for Walker Buehler. It was not guaranteed that he would pitch, much less pitch effectively for the Dodgers this season. So clearly the Dodgers need him, ideally, especially with the Odious news. But at the same time, I can't say they were counting on him. I doubt they were counting on him. And this way he'll come back for 24 and just be fully ready to go.
Was your feeling on this that it was a Buehler thing, a mutual thing? I know in his words he said it was a mutual thing with doctors and the team and his representatives. The part that I saw was his representatives. He's 4 days away from being a free agent, so he has to play another season. Did that go into it?
Well, that was always going to be the case anyway, Eric. You get service time when you're on the injured list. So I don't see that being any factor at all. The representatives, the agents are always involved in these discussions, as are the doctors, as are the teams. These are the way these things go down. And I would say if you're suggesting that the Dodgers might be mad at him for this, there's no way you can be, because you cannot push a player when he's not right. And I don't have all the medical information, and certainly I was not part of those conversations. Only those people were. But again, it seemed to me it was always going to be right until the end. And the fact that it didn't work out exactly as they might have hoped, that does not surprise me.
Ken, simple. Why would they pitch him then? Why would they even just have him go out there and have some rehab starts? I'm kind of confused on that front.
He was trying to come back, and
Okay.
it doesn't always work out as you intend. So that's really the reason. And again, it's just one of these things, guys. I don't read anything nefarious into it or anything underhanded or anything like that. It just seems to me, and again, this just came out, so I haven't talked to anybody about it. But my basic reaction, my initial reaction without talking to anyone, is simply that this was never a lock, and it's not a shock that he could not exactly get there.
Coming back from now 2 Tommy John surgeries,
That's the other thing. It's more complicated with a second.
We know Evaldi had one. Like it's, Ohtani might be going through one too as well. Like, do you know anything about success rates about that, or,
Yes.
does that probably had a lot to do with it, like you said?
They're lower. The success rate is lower coming back from a second Tommy John, and we have seen pitchers do it, and it's not impossible. But what I understand is that the rehabilitation is more delicate, more involved, a little bit more complicated. And the fact that this is a second Tommy John, it doesn't surprise me at all, again, that this is the outcome, because that's what happens here. And we always expect now with Tommy John, guy come back, it's 12 to 14 months, maybe 18, whatever. He's back, he's healthy, he's good. Well, it's not always that way even with the first, although the success rate is quite high right now. But the second, it's a little trickier. And again, it's not something I think we should be passing judgment on.
Okay, Ken, the Nationals are in the news for all the wrong reasons. So Strasburg's now not having his retirement ceremony. Mike Rizzo is still not signed. How do I put this kindly? What the fuck is going on in D.C.?
That is not so kind, Scott. But they're in the middle of a potential sale. That's one thing that's going on. And clearly the relationship between Mike Rizzo and ownership, as I wrote today, does not appear to be as strong as the relationship between ownership and Davey Martinez. Davey Martinez, the manager, got an extension more than 2 weeks ago, and Rizzo is still kind of hanging out there. They're dismissing scouts, some of his special assistants, and they're cutting the budget on player personnel people down to the bone, it seems. And I'm not quite sure how to read this. Again, I wrote about it today in The Athletic, and it's kind of an involved situation. But it seems to me that you're telling Mike Rizzo, as the Nationals owners, okay, you can come back, but you're coming back on our terms. You're coming back maybe not for 2 years like Davey, and you're coming back with a much lesser staff and the removals of a lot of people you brought in. And Mike Rizzo is a scout at heart. That is how he got into the game. And it must be very difficult for him to deal with scouts being let go. Now, all that said, Mike Rizzo, as I wrote, can be mercurial. He's a guy that can be difficult to work for and work with. They have not had the best record developing pitching. They were slow to embrace analytics, and they have what a lot of teams would regard as somewhat of a bloated staff. So there's never a total right or wrong in any of these situations, but ownership is under pressure here. And they're under pressure because they want to sell the team. They're under pressure because their revenues are down. Attendance is down this year. They haven't gotten a jersey patch deal. They don't have a naming rights deal for the ballpark. They're not where they should be revenue-wise. And right now, it's just kind of a huge uncertain situation. And the Strasburg thing, as the Athletics' Brick Garoli reported, comes down to the learners, the owners of the team, not wanting to pay the full freight. Well, guess what? You have to pay the full freight. These contracts are fully guaranteed. Steven Strasburg is not his fault. I mean, he's injured. It's not his fault that he's injured. And you didn't get insurance on the contract. Now, granted, the premiums probably would have been excessive, but that you've got to live with as the Nationals. So they planned this retirement ceremony apparently thinking they could, I don't know, get some kind of deal. And that wasn't ever going to happen. So it's a big mess all around. I guess I'd put it that way.
There's so many questions that I want to ask you about this from Strasburg, but you mentioned, I think it was 14 scouts got fired,
Yeah,
and
at
yet
least
this
that, yes.
team is in a rebuild. Do I
Yes.
have that right? They're in a rebuild? How the
Yeah,
heck are they
that's
supposed
correct.
to rebuild?
Well, it's a good question, Eric. And the ownership of this team has always taken an unusual approach to spending in certain areas. We've seen them sign some massive free agent contracts, Strasburg being one, Scherzer was another, Patrick Corbin at the time. Of course, they've let some players go too that they couldn't sign, Bryce Harper foremost among them. But they've always kind of cut costs in different areas to do all these things. It's just the way they operate. They, you can say, are nickel and dime kind of owners. So it doesn't surprise me that they're taking this course, and it doesn't necessarily relate to player payroll from what I understand. Payroll could remain X, and they still would cut Y from the baseball operations budget, even though most of these people, even the most senior of them, do not make what we would consider a lot of money by baseball standards. So it is a curious approach, and you might think, well, maybe they're trying to run Mike Rizzo off, but Mike Rizzo has nowhere to go, and they don't really want to run him off because they don't want to create a perception of chaos and disruption at a time when they're for sale. You might say, well, why are they doing this with Strasburg, which is creating a perception of chaos and disruption? That's a different question. So they're kind of all over the place right now.
So with the Strasburg thing, isn't there precedence with Prince Fielder that this happened? He was, according to your article, he's 100% on the unable to perform list or whatever the new list is. Can't they just get rid of him? Or what is there any precedence for a team just hanging on to a guy that is injured and going to take up a 40-man spot?
Oh, it happens. I know it's happened before, Eric, put it that way. And there are certain situations where a player will not announce his retirement because he's still collecting salary. Now, I don't recall the specifics of Prince Fielder and what exactly happened there. It was quite some time ago. But the bottom line is, and this is all that matters, Steven Strasburg has a guaranteed contract through 2026. He is unable to perform physically. He just cannot do it. He's not even in a situation where he can rehab. He's done. And they are liable to pay him. They have to pay him. It's as simple as that. And baseball fans know for the most part that these contracts are pretty ironclad and you can't get out of them. Certainly you can't get out of them because a player is injured.
Does he have to show up to the ballpark? Like, what's the leverage on the national side, right? Because the way I read this, from the outside is the commissioner's office calls. They go, hey, dude, you can't just give him everything and pay him completely out. Like, let's mess with him a little and try and get a buyout out of it, which, hey, the Nats are cheap. They clearly know. They're not calling Boris being like, hey, give us some money back. But like, what's the leverage on the other side here? Like, we're not going to do a ceremony for you unless you give us a few $1 million, or we're going to make you show up to the park and just sit there and be friends with people, even though you don't have to rehab. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point?
I don't know what the point is. And I actually, Scott, would doubt seriously that the league called the Nationals and said, hey, squeeze him here. The league knows the union is not going to allow this contract to be reduced in value. There's no way. And the league might do some funky things from time to time. I don't expect that they would have done anything close to that. It seems to me, as Britt reported, that this is a situation where the learners have said, why are we paying him? And there is no leverage. You can't force him to come to the park when he's physically unable to rehab. It's just an odd kind of situation. What they should have done is gone through with all this and had the ceremony for him and continued as they were, paying him and wished him a good farewell, because he was a huge part of really their rebirth first, and then, of course, their World Series title in 2019. That's what they should have done. It ultimately might be what they end up doing. It's just a mess of their own making, and it was unnecessary.
Hey, I want to switch gears and talk about the Diamondbacks. We looked at their schedule. It's a pretty hefty schedule they got coming up. It looks like only one team as of now is going to make it out of the Marlins, Diamondbacks, and Reds. What's your gut telling you right now?
I still sort of like the Diamondbacks, even though the schedule is more difficult than most, Todd. And the reason I like them is Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. And I also like the fact that they brought up Jordan Lawlor. Now, I know he is a top prospect coming into the middle of a pennant race in September. You don't like to do that. And you can look at these teams that they're playing. It's not going to be easy. But at the same time, when you're in a pennant race like this, when you're the Reds, when you're the Marlins, you've got to beat the teams in front of you, whoever they are. The Reds pitching, to me, is just in a really difficult spot. Now, I know Hunter Green is coming back, and that's good, but they've had injuries. They've had the COVID stuff. They were young to begin with. And then the Marlins, Alcantara is now on the IL. He's a question, of course, to come back. Yuri Perez, a youngster, their pitching is kind of in a rocky place. Cabrera's coming back, yes, but overall, it's not ideal. So, yes, Diamondback schedule is not great, but they still, to me, seem like the team that might get there because of those two guys at the top primarily.
Okay, Ken, let's finish with Rays Mariners. You're covering that series this weekend. It was a very Rays Mariners game yesterday. 1-0 win for the M's. These teams are built on their pitching. They've got a lot of it. What are your thoughts on this series and these two teams that could match up in the playoffs?
Well, that's a great point, Scott, that we could be seeing a playoff preview here. And I thought for a time, because the Rays got hot again, maybe they would catch the Orioles, but the deficit is now 4 games, which is a considerable number. I know they play next week in Baltimore. We're going to have that on Fox as well. But the Rays just right now have to just get there and get in. They've got 3 starters. Even with all their injuries, they've still got 3 starters. It's Glasnow, it's Eflin, and Savali. It's 3 pretty good starters. They've got a good bullpen, and they don't beat themselves. They do a lot of good things. The Mariners are another team that could be even more dangerous than Tampa Bay because of their starting pitching. Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, Brian Wu, all of these guys that they're running out there. Bryce Miller, I'm forgetting him. They are in the playoffs a potentially very dangerous team. They can move some of those kids into the bullpen, which has actually been okay without Paul Sewald, a couple of hiccups here and there. But that trade helped them. Canzone's helped them. Rojas has helped them. Julio's been great. Teoscar has had a great second half. Cal Raleigh is an all-star kind of player at this point. So I sort of like the Mariners right now and where they are, maybe even a little bit more than Tampa Bay.
I love that. Well, enjoy the series. Maybe you'll get more than a run per game, but maybe not. And it's a good old-fashioned pitching match. We saw it with Cleveland and Tampa Bay. Remember the game that never ended in the playoffs last year?
Nobody wanted to win.
Well, I don't know if you put it that way, but there were some big swings and endless pitching, right?
Yep.
Ken, enjoy the series. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
See you,
you.
Ken.
Woo, we had a lot of news. You know, this is supposed to be like the quieter time of year.
No.
It's like move over football. Baseball's still got a lot going on. We'll be right back with our locks of the night.
Let's not forget, when Altuve was not there, Bregman was struggling, Abreu was struggling, Pena was struggling, Maldonado was struggling. Guess who was the guy that propped him up? McCormick, right? Tucker and McCormick were kind of the two guys there. When Alvarez was out, it was Chas McCormick. So he deserves a lot more credit. And his weight? Like, are you shitting me? His weight? It's not like he put on 50 pounds. He put on 10 pounds. And he says he feels better and his sprint speed's down a tick. This, to me, sounds like Dusty Baker just figuring out a way to get Michael Brantley, and he must love Dubon. That's it. He's like trying to come up with an excuse. Well, his weight's up. Well, what?
But he didn't say that. Dusty didn't publicly say that.
He said, but it remains something you're aware of.
Yeah.
But then there's people behind the scenes, team inner working saying Dusty always says he's overweight.
Yeah.
So that's behind the scenes. Don't think Chas McCormick hears that? Dude, this guy, he's having a hell of a year. And you want to talk about Julio Rodriguez? His OPS is higher. And I know it's not all about offense, but when your team had no offense for those months, guess who was the offense? Chas McCormick. Reward this dude for that. And I don't know, man. This is the one time Dusty Baker usually nails it with his stuff. This kind of is one of those times where you're like, has Dusty lost it? Like, what are we talking about here? This shouldn't even be a topic. Chas McCormick, righty, lefty, he should be out there every day.
100%. I think this is I think the negative of a player's manager. We're obviously just speculating all this based on what Dusty's saying, but a player's manager usually is somebody who is talking to guys and is always like aware of things. And if you get this in your head that you think Dubon is better than him, you think even though the numbers would not say he is, even defensively the numbers would not say he is, like, you can't get away from that. And I think that's a downfall of some players, managers. You look back at times when guys played guys too long because they thought, oh, well, this was the reason. I just feel like he could have stopped and been like, why are you asking me that? Next question. And then he just let it out.
And now, back to foul territory.
Todd gets real fresh in NAC, don't you think?
He does.
He does.
That's just his.
What?
This is his place. This is
his
people.
spot, right?
Why would I be fresh?
I like it. You're fresh here.
This is my spot.
This is your house.
If you
We're
got
real
a crop,
close.
no.
Come to my house. You can't splash the
We
pot.
were brawling. When we had a minute break. Anyway, we got a lot to do here, so I want to get your take on this Strasburg story, and we'll show the poll result on a World Series matchup that people might want to see. But let's start with our locks. Your Bet MGM locks for Friday night. Kratz is smiling at me because I'm feeling good right now.
So good.
First
so
off,
good.
if you are in the Bet MGM app, that means you get a little free baseball to watch. Guardians Angels is your MLB free game of the day, streaming on the Bet MGM app, live streaming available to all Bet MGM customers who are logged in and have funded accounts. And I'm going to be real with you here. Neither of those teams are making the playoffs, okay? You're watching that game to win some dough. Just saying. Some cash. Let's
Take
go
the
over our
under on
locks, because
strikeouts.
if you parlayed all of our locks from yesterday and put them together, it was probably plus a lot.
Oh, my.
And you would have
That's a
won.
lot.
That's called a clean sweep. That is a fantastic day from the crew.
Wow.
What a freaking day, including Brock and myself going Dodgers money line, no sweat bet. How you doing? And you guys got your K props down, which is
Mine wasn't a K prop.
Well,
Mine was
AJ
just
does. You have your run line with
real
ATL,
life.
and you figure. I mean, St. Louis gave it to the Braves in a couple games, and they smacked them back yesterday.
And I don't even get my $300 that I put down on it. But that's okay.
Isn't it something though?
We'll fix that.
I'm in
We'll
the
fix
lead.
that for next week. Stay
Scotty
tuned.
needs to start betting a little
In
more
the
money.
lead. No.
Money wise. But look, let's be honest here.
I don't think
Scott,
mine updated, did it?
No, it's updated. You can see on the screen if you
It's
can
not
read.
I'm
updated.
61-46.
That's your problem, though.
No. That's,
When you get hot, you got to go up hard, just like in blackjack.
I know, but my thing is I'm
He's
for the people. It's if it's plus hundo, I put a hundo down. If it's like my bet tonight,
You're playing with
that's-
scared money. That's all I'm going to say, and I'll leave it at that.
No. There's people that don't have the ability to go
$400 to put down
to
each
go
night.
deep.
No, I'm not putting four.
So
I'm putting three.
I'm helping the singles hitters out there. Okay. All right. So big shot. Who you going with first?
We talk about it all the time. This guy's screaming over here about a parlay. Relax over there, big fella.
They've been there for a while.
I'm
too.
going Reds money line. Abbott's on the mound. They're playing the Cardinals. It's go time here. I need a sweep from the Reds, and it starts today. Money line, I think it's minus 120, 360 to win three big ones.
Oh, Abbott's going to get some punch outs too.
Hey, I bet.
There was a day when the Cardinals' first game of the series was a lock to lose.
No doubt.
A lock, like 10 in a row. I'm going George Kirby and Taj Bradley giving me 5+ Ks. And Taj is going to give me a walk also. That's minus 105.
You love the walk.
There's literally people
Because
behind
there's
us
games.
listening to our picks and putting them in
Yes.
to the
And
machine
winning.
right now.
And winning real monies.
That's amazing.
Smart move.
He literally said he picked Cincinnati. I heard him say he picked Cincinnati,
Attaboy.
and he's putting it in. That's why we do a live
We
show.
can hear
at Borgata.
everything they say.
I got Detroit money line to beat the White Sox, who are just in absolute don't give a shit mode, right? No, absolute golf mode
We're
right
gonna
now.
talk to Lance Lynn about what you just picked, but that's okay.
Lance Lynn's on the Dodgers.
Oh,
He agrees.
Yeah, but
He
I
agrees.
forgot.
What are you doing?
This is
Trust
why you
me,
don't follow.
No,
this
this
is why-
guy's got me twisted here because I want to go with him.
This is why you don't follow Todd.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You follow Scotty.
I picked the Tigers because their offense has been much better over the past month, much better against right-handed pitching. This is a rematch of Olsen against Clevenger. They smashed him. And I was like, it's minus 145, so I'm not the only one that thinks they're going to win. I buy it down by going over 4.5 runs because I think I'm going to hit that easy. So stay hot, baby. Do you hear this?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
He's
Bet 10, get 200 instantly if you use the bonus code FOUL 200 on the Bet MGM app. You place your wager through Bet MGM Sportsbook mobile app of at least $10. You receive $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So go check that out. All right. For a few more minutes here in our first hour, and yes, we have a couple interviews coming up in the second hour, including Lance Lynn and Ryan Helsley. Steven Strasburg was like calling fam and friends and everything, going, hey, I'm going to do a retirement ceremony, the whole deal. Let's go. They're setting it up for us this Saturday. Book the flights, get everyone in town. And then you get a call like 48 hours before from the Nats going, psych, it's not happening. And we want some money back on the contract.
awkward.
I want to know who initiated this. From all the reports, it was the Nats initiating this, but was it Rizzo initiating it? Did the learners?
No, it was definitely not Rizzo. Rizzo's not even signed right now. They're screwing with him. There's no chance it was Rizzo.
So to
It's
me,
owners or MLB. And
no,
I said
no,
MLB.
I'm saying who initiated this originally? Like, hey, we're going to retire. First of all, we talked about it the other day. Retiring Strasburg jersey might be a reach. Might be like taking a punter in the third round of fantasy draft.
What are they doing? I don't know.
Retiring his jersey, I don't know. Like, I just feel like the whole thing has been handled so weird
Yeah, I don't know.
that we need more information. I don't think we're going to get it. But it's just like, I don't know what you do. Like, they were ready. It's Friday, and we're coming back. They're supposed to be there already. Like, it was a whole weekend thing. They're not just rolling in for the day game Sunday and bouncing out. There's going to be a whole Strasburg weekend.
Can I show you a tweet from our buddy Jim Bowden, who also, keep in mind, was a GM for this team before Mike Rizzo took over. He's usually pretty plugged in on that ball club, right? So he tweeted, owner Mark Lerner and president Mike Rizzo offered to pay the full amount of Strasburg's contract, have a retirement ceremony, and retire his uniform next year. Strasburg invited family and friends to D.C. for the September 9th ceremony. That's tomorrow, Saturday. Then, according to sources, the commissioner's office talked to the Lerners, which are the owners of the team, about the bad precedent it sets. And then the Lerners, the owners, informed Mike Rizzo, the GM, to pull out of the agreement against his wishes. Disappointing, not a good look for the team. That tweet was since taken down. That doesn't mean that it wasn't right.
Against Rizzo's wishes, I guess.
Yeah, of course. It's not on Rizzo.
He was
doesn't-
told to do it. Rizzo
he
was told to go to
call
Strasburg.
Strasburg, and he's when you're a front office dude, you're the middle person. You're the middleman, right? You got to deliver the bad news because the owners are rich and they don't want to do
I'm
it.
saying it was against Rizzo's wishes to do
course,
that. Well,
yeah.
then good for him.
Yeah, but Lerner and Strasburg are guys.
Yeah.
He signed a $245 million contract. Thank you so much for winning me a World Series. Here's a $245 million contract. That was not from Rizzo. And then he told Lerner, hey, I just signed Strasburg for $245 with a year left on his current contract with an agent who never signs extensions. This is going to work out. No, this was Lerner doing it 100%. And to me, the whole retirement of his jersey thing had to be Lerner too. So
I don't know where that's coming from.
I don't know. It just feels weird,
You're not
especially a
supposed to
commissioner
retire the-
office
yeah.
stuck their nose in this. I don't know. I disagree with Ken.
It's messy.
It is messy.
It is messy. Okay.
It's Lionel. Messy.
We're going to finish up hour 1 here on Stadium. Hour 2, as always, keeps rolling on the Foul Territory YouTube channel. We'll talk to Ryan Helsley. We'll talk to Lance Lynn. I'm going to ask Lance Lynn about this because he's our dude. He's our current player that'll tell it like it is. Okay, so we'll be right back. We'll take callers later, too. We'll see you then.
Gotta let go so I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Let's run it. A second hour of Foul Territory. Braun, Kratz, Todd Father. How you doing? We're going to talk to Ryan Helsley of the St. Louis Cardinals coming up in just a second, then Lance Lynn after that. You know, we can ask someone like Ryan about the Buehler news too. Just curious, when you're coming back from an injury like that, what the conversations are like. Like you guys both said, hey, I'm not a pitcher. It's different. Sometimes I've heard from guys too being like, yo, I want some pitcher's perspective. All right, well, we bring on plenty of pitchers. So we'll ask Ryan about it because you guys, I mean, Kratzy did pitch technically. I do want to make sure that I lay that out there.
I guess
Oh yeah,
chopped
you
liver.
did. Well, but what'd you do?
Barely.
One
Barely.
inning.
One
I got
inning?
the best ERA ever in baseball.
One inning. You're
True.
like, I could just say, about
How
to be
many
done in my
strikeouts you got?
career.
Did you feel
3.
pressure when you were pitching on the
We're
mound?
not
'Cause
counting minor leagues.
did you feel pressure because you were
Big
like,
leagues.
yo, I'm probably going to do this once in my life.
Yeah.
If I get 3 outs, I got to triple zeros for the rest of my life.
It's hanging in my cage too. I got the ball and everything. I thought you don't got your ball.
Oh yeah, I don't have my first. I don't have my first strikeout of Brandon Belt in his All-Star year with
Adam
him
Duvall with 40 homers.
with him signed it.
Oops.
Oh, did Duvall sign this?
Why would I have him sign it? That's rude.
Because you're jealous now. I can
Rude.
see it in your eye.
Well, let's bring in our next guest here, Ryan Helsley of the St. Louis Cardinals, joining us on FT Live. Ryan, how you doing? There's a full-on battle going on between these two about their pitching performances. So for any of your position player teammates that have ever pitched, do you feel like they get a little cocky if they put together 3 outs on a mound and they don't give anything up?
Yeah, you know, they make it seem like it's the easiest thing in the world, and they give the pitch all kinds of crap. You know, like why is it so hard to throw strikes? One in particular is Andrew Kisner. He has one of the 0.00 ERAs, and you know, he talks about it all the time, and he likes to make a joke about it.
Yeah, but there's a difference between throwing 1 inning like Todd did and getting a strikeout. I got 7 innings.
That's a lot.
7 pro innings. Okay, so
That
this
goes
game's easy.
goes to show you that they didn't have much care for him if he got one taken off the shin or the stomach or anything. They took care of me. They said, well, wait till your last year you're playing. We don't want you to get hurt. We didn't care.
I mean, I didn't need you to tell me that.
Austin Hedges pitched, what, 2 outings?
2 days in a row.
2 days in a row the other day. That's true. What was your ERA?
I don't know. Like a 4?
0 for me.
Zeros.
Better than Ryan's. Just saying.
Better than everyone's. You can't do better than Todd.
He threw 102 the other day. You guys aren't even on the same universe. 102.
That's pretty darn good.
Every
Ryan,
time
how
you
you
come on
doing,
here.
man? So first off, how you doing? How's the arm feeling?
Yeah, it's feeling a lot better. You know, it was kind of a long recovery process, and feels good to get back out there and kind of get back in the swing of things. And we have about 20 games left, so hopefully get some good work in, and feel good about going to the offseason.
Hey, we were talking about Tommy John surgeries. We're talking about, Strasburg being hurt.
Buehler.
No, but I know I was getting on to Buehler. But
Yeah.
we talked about him trying to make a comeback this year after getting a second Tommy John. You know better. I don't know if you've ever had Tommy John surgery. I don't want to speak out of place, but I guess not. But coming back from injury, man, it's a touchy subject. You want to be 100%, especially with arbitration, as Kratz brought up coming up. Is there big conversations? What goes on through that whole process injury-wise?
Yeah, for sure. You're trying to be healthy and not, push through anything and make things worse. And, I feel like pitching is a lot different than a position player. Obviously, I've never played every day like a lot of these guys do, but, the smallest things can, affect a pitcher and, how things feel and how you recover. And coming back from injury, things might not feel quite right and feel the same like they did pre-injury. You're stressing new tissue again, and like Buehler, he's got a new ligament. It's never been stressed like that before, and even the AAA outing is a lot different than the big leagues, and the stress levels are a lot different. So, I think it's smart on his part. It's the second time he's had it before, so he knows, what he's looking for and what he wants to feel like.
Is it different when you get hurt at the beginning of your career and you're like still trying to establish yourself till now where you're more established, you're getting significant innings and you're a big piece of the bullpen?
I don't know. I think I would probably try to approach it the same way, like you don't want to push through a small injury and, compounding it and making it worse, and then it turns into something big, and that's kind of the way I looked at it this year. I didn't want to come back in a month, and then possibly have a worse injury, maybe miss the rest of the year, maybe all of next year. So just wanted to take a couple extra weeks and, really listen to my body and make sure I was feeling well and, and trying to end the season on a good note.
Ryan, what kind of conversations go on between a pitcher, the medical staff, the front office, the coaching staff, etc., to try to talk through, like, helping us out through what, say, Walker Buehler just would have gone through, right? Where you figure out, hey, this is when we think you should actually get back on a mound in the minor leagues. This is our plan going forward. Like, can you kind of take us behind the curtain as much as you're able to on what the communication process is and how everyone figures that out together, so we can also determine, like, did they get to a point where they said, okay, we're going to try this out. Let's see how you feel. Even if you're not hurt, if it doesn't feel right, let's just stop it because you're coming back on the shorter side. He is from his second Tommy John.
Yeah, it's an ongoing conversation daily. Coming back from the injury, you can feel good one day and then, not feel so good the next two. It's kind of weird, you're coming back and really just trying to listen to your body and pay attention, and, the Cardinals did a great job of, having that dialogue day in and day out and, really wanting to cater to, my injury and the things that I needed to bounce back. And, it's different too once you start games. It's a whole different stress level than, long toss or even just throwing a bullpen. And, that's kind of what I ran into once I got to games. I was taking 2 to 3 days to feel somewhat normal again, and just that stress level was so much higher than I had, been used to for 2.5, 3 months. And, finally the last couple of weeks, my body's done a lot better responding. And so I think that's the biggest key, is just having your body respond quickly in the way it needs to. And obviously everybody's body's different and responds and heals in a different way. So that's the tough part. I feel like, a lot of players and medical staff face is, everybody's different. Everybody's got their own timeline. And I think it's important that everybody, can kind of follow their own pace.
Hey, heard you have a twin brother named Kyle. I thought that was pretty cool. We're looking that up and talking. How was he as an athlete? Was there battles when you guys were younger? I would love to know, because I got thrown through some walls with my brother. So does he think he's a better athlete than you, or no?
Oh, yeah. Growing up, we definitely competed, in the driveway playing basketball, or, we had a game we called Set Hut, and basically 1v1s in the yard, my dad throwing the pass. And there's definitely some snot bubbles and crying and, knockdown, drag-out fights out there. You never want to lose, especially to your brother. But it was cool, and having a brother growing up, having a twin. We were together for 18 years until we both went to different colleges, and we played 3 sports together all throughout high school, and that was really cool to always have, a twin right next to you through all that.
All right, now we'll take it to your older brother, Wayno. and his pursuit, or maybe you see him as more of like a dad or uncle. I'm not sure what that relationship is. What do you think? Dad, uncle, or older brother?
Probably a combination of the two. He's definitely like the father figure of the of the team. He leads us in everything we do, and like you said, trying to get to 200. It's been kind of crazy, but I mean, I think Wayno's so close. You can feel it, and it's like I think his mindset is if it happens, it happens. I don't really think he's stressing too much about it. Obviously, he cares about it, wants it to really happen. We all do for him. And hopefully it does. The clock's ticking here, so we'll see what happens.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. 200. It's a big number. He's 2 away. So I'm going to paint the scenario for you. September 27th, you come out on the mound. You guys are winning 6-5, and you're in the game, and this is for his 200th win, and it's his W. How much pressure do you feel? Is that something that is really going to be like, wow, like get you going playoff atmosphere?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really thought about that, and try not to look too far ahead, especially being in the bullpen. Just try to take it one day at a time. I try not to make too much out of the thing. Obviously it'd be a big deal for him. And, looking back on it, there's probably been 20 or 30 games in his career where he could have a win, where guys have blown it. So, I mean, just trying not to make too big of a deal about it, and just try to take the same approach. Just go out there and try to do my job one pitch at a time like I have the last 150-plus times I've done in the big leagues.
You guys are wrong, though, about brother, cousin, uncle. His nickname's Uncle Charlie. He's obviously your uncle.
Oh, that's true.
No?
Because of his pitch. That's not now.
I know, but it all kind of blends
all
together
depends.
when he could be like the weird uncle.
He's
you
been
know?
Uncles buy you, not the weird uncle. You don't want the weird uncle in the clubhouse. Not where you're showering.
Not that kind of weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
Touché.
You get like uncle if he's buying him his gifts. If he's buying Ryan gifts,
Cool uncle.
then he's a cool uncle.
Cool uncle.
If he's an older brother, he might leave like a little hot foot for him.
Well, that's a good question. Anybody ever buy you a gift when you first came up?
Yeah,
Of the big
Wayno
league?
actually bought me. So in spring training, there's guys that come around that make custom suits and stuff, and he bought me 2. I think one in 2020 and one in 21. And he usually does that every year. I mean, there's probably anywhere from 3 to 5, 7 guys he buys suits for every year, which I think is really cool. And we're probably one of the few teams that actually wear suits and jackets when we travel still on the road. So I think that's really cool that he does that. Making sure guys, have a nice wardrobe when they come up here.
All right, so what's going to be your thing, right? You keep rolling along. You make the big bucks and the bigs. Are you going to have a go-to? Like you give everybody – Kratz is always trying to come up with this. You give everybody some gift when they first come up to the bigs, or you take them for a meal, or you do something, at least with like a fellow bullpen dude because you've been there. Do you have anything in mind that you would want to do, both gift-wise and also just, anything that you do with any rookie that comes up to the show and is like, hey, dude, I know – I don't throw 102, but I'd like to be in the league like you have for years now.
Yeah, I think just, dinners for sure. Hopefully I can do that and take the bullpen out, a couple times a year. And, just we have a thing too where we made goals early in the year. It was in our Bible study group, just like when you're on the road, because you have more time on the road, try to not eat breakfast alone. That way, you build that relationship and that bond with your teammates. And, because that stuff can go a long way, in the season when it's 8 months long and, you're trying to make a push in October.
Awesome. So we've been looking up some stuff on you because I'm always intrigued about where people come from. You went to Sequoia High School, Old Gym, which is an all-Native American high school. First player to reach the majors from that high school. So is there like a monster collage when you walk into that high school? Like, this is our guy, man. He did it, And you also go back there and help students and ancestors go back to Trail of Tears, man. Talk to us about all that stuff.
Yeah, man, it's really cool and really special, to be from there and, to be Native American. When I was in high school, there's people from all over the country, but before that, 10, 20 years before, it's technically considered a boarding school, and there was kids literally from all over the country that would live there on campus in the dorms. So it's really cool to be there and see, a lot of kids from all over the country and, the different, heritage and stuff that come with it. And just being there, going back and helping those kids, it was really special. I haven't done it in a couple of years, and I feel like once you have a family and get to the big leagues, your life starts to speed up and the off season's almost more busy than, during the season. So, but I do go back, try to watch a football game or, just go show my face and, they actually have a little bit of like a showcase, I guess, in the new gym. They have, I don't know exactly what they have, maybe a pair of cleats and a jersey and stuff like that. But it's really cool to go back and, kind of see that and where I've come from. And we've had a quarterback make it to the NFL. His name's Nate Stanley. And we had a girl make it to the WNBA. She,
Nice.
Angel Goodrich. Yeah. We've had a couple people make it pretty far, and, so it's been cool to be a part of that.
Iowa,
Love it.
right? Stanley went to Iowa.
He went
Yes.
to Ole Miss, and then I think he got drafted by the Ravens. Maybe, I don't know how much time he had in the NFL, but he went to Ole Miss out of high school.
Nice. All right, I got a question for you. Back to Cardinals stuff, okay? So obviously we know this team's not a playoff team for the first time in a long time this year. So it's a different role for the Cardinals, just like we're seeing this with the Yankees right now, right? It's a team that's in the playoffs every year. So I think about two things for a team that hasn't been in this spot in a long time. Number one, you get to see how some young guys are doing, right? Like right now, Mason Wynn getting some time in the show, and not sure if he'd be up in a normal situation or not, but like you get to see, hey, let's see what you got for a month. So how is that for some of the young guys where you don't have to be so focused on every single, obviously you want to win the games, but it's not all about winning. It's also about setting yourselves up for next year. And then how does that pair with the fun of playing spoiler and having like a little bit off your shoulders right now? You're not in a total battle for a wild card or a division right now. You could be like, oh, Cincinnati coming to town with your young squad. Let's ruin your life for a few days.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's the big league, so every day is important. And no matter what your record is, you're trying to go out there and compete and win and do your job. But yeah, I mean, just we have some good teams coming up down the stretch. A lot of teams making a playoff push, and I think we approach all those games just like we do every game. Starting the year just like we are now, is trying to win and go out there and compete. And yeah, seeing the young guys has been cool. Just trying to be somewhat of a leader now. This is my 5th season, so not really a veteran, but I've been around for a few years, so just trying to be someone that the young guys in the bullpen or even position players can come to and feel like they can talk to, because it's a long season and it can be very intimidating your first couple of years until you really feel like you've established yourself and feel like you belong. So just trying to help those guys any way I can, and it's been fun watching Jordan Walker grow this year, and some of the other guys too get their chance, and I think it's great for them to come up the last 20 games and just have fun and hang loose, see what they're capable of, and go out there and just attack each day and make the most of the opportunity.
I need you to be real with this next answer. You're not giving anything away. You're not softer. What's the best team? Who's the best team in the Central that you think is the best?
Pitching wise, I think it's the Brewers. They've probably had one of the better pitching staffs, starters for sure, and their bullpen's been great all year too. Lineup wise, I would probably say the Cubs. I would say they're probably, well, besides ours, our lineup's great. Our pitching just hasn't been good. I'd probably actually say our lineup's the best lineup in the Central. But yeah, we've just haven't been able to click on all cylinders this year. And, starting the year, we thought we were going to be one of those teams pushing in October, and obviously hasn't worked out that way.
Ryan, question for you about some of the toughest hitters that you've faced this year. Let's first start with the division. Like, are there guys on, say, the playoff contenders like the Reds and the Cubs that have really stood out to you that you think could, like, kind of make a name for themselves in the playoffs? I mean, they're two different teams, too. The Cubs are definitely a more veteran squad, especially with their position players, right? Like, I'm sure you've seen what Bellinger has done this year, where with Cincinnati, it's like almost all rookies. And I'm 99% sure they have the youngest average age on their position players. Kratz is shaking his head. He's my stats guy.
Yeah, I mean, the Cubs, more veteran group, and, guys like Dansby, I've faced him a few times, and, he's got a couple of hits off me, and he's probably one of the better hitters on the Cubs guy that's, tough out always, a good fastball hitter. With the Reds, there's a couple of guys, Tyler Stevenson and like Jonathan India, they've had some success off of me. But a lot of other guys, they're younger. I haven't faced a whole lot. They're young, and I feel like that's kind of injected, life into their lineup and their team. And, they've just played hard all year, and, they like to create havoc on the base pass, and they actually have a really good bullpen too. So I think that, it's been a big year for them, and, it'll be an exciting series here this weekend.
All right, question for you that we want to start mixing into a lot of our regulars on FT. What was your welcome to the big leagues moment? You could go wherever you want to go here. It could just be like walking in the clubhouse and seeing whoever, some big veteran on your team, right? It could be someone you faced. Was there one moment where you're like, all right, I'm in. This is it?
Yeah, probably just on my debut, honestly, like you said, walking into the clubhouse and, seeing what a big league clubhouse looked like. And I actually ended up pitching that night too in Milwaukee and came in with one guy on second or maybe two, I don't remember, but I faced Yelich, and that was the year he was like started the year off with like 12 homers in like the first 12 games, and he actually ended up hitting the homer off of me too. Got him 0-2, and he put together a good at bat and ended up clipping me there, and ended up pitching well after that. But that was probably like, all right, this is the big leagues. You got to make better pitches when you're ahead 0-2. So,
what about was there like a moment where you? Well, I guess closer was later. When did you pick up your first save?
I think 2020 season, the shortened season.
2020.
So it was my second year. Yeah. I would say that like when I felt like I started to belong a little bit, it was probably playoffs in 19. Most of the year that in 19, I was kind of the long guy. I was built up as a starter to start the year. And then when I come out of the bullpen during the regular season, it's mostly, getting 3+ outs, cover some innings, pick up the team. Then the playoffs came around and started throwing really well. I don't remember how many innings I threw, 6 or 7, but I don't think I gave up a hit. And, and that was kind of proof to myself that all right, I can really pitch at this level, and at a high level and contribute. I'm pitching in these big playoff games, and at the end of the day, just telling myself, it's no different than any other game. It's just got higher implications, obviously, and you're trying to compete for a World Series, but just trying to simplify things and telling yourself it's the same game and not trying to make it too big than it is.
All right, so you have Mason Wynn, super prospect, bazooka for an arm, probably throws harder than you, but don't worry about it. Don't be jealous.
Whoa.
Don't be jealous.
Ryan,
don't be
you
jealous.
can fight that back.
Don't fight back. Is the man good on the mic, and has he been up on the front of the bus more than once?
I don't think we've actually had him up. I mean, this is my first road trip in 3 months, and he was up probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. He might have sang already, but I haven't heard any stories about it. I doubt he has. So we still have about 6 games on this road trip, so I'm sure we'll get our fair share of some rookies on the mic coming up.
And will he get dressed up, or has that been ixnayed on the Cardinals?
No, I think when we go to San Diego, they're going to do some kind of dress up and have all the rookies do their thing. I haven't heard what it is. It's usually like the veteran guys like Immaculate or Wayno who decide on what goes on there.
Ryan, in like 5 years, let's say you guys are in like the World Series and there's a rain delay, like there's the Jason Hayward moment where he brings in the squad in the clubhouse. Who do you think that'll be out of this position player group right now? Is there somebody that stands out? Like, is Walker a talker? Is Mason Wynn like that? Like projecting forward, you got to count out like Goldie's too old. Sorry, I would tell him, but like I'm trying to go further down the line, right? Like years down the line of the new group. Who's the guy that you think? It doesn't have to be. I don't need you to project like who's going to be best. I want to know like in the locker room who's going to command it.
The leader.
I mean, maybe Newbar. He's pretty good with that kind of stuff. I mean, I think you saw it in the World Baseball Classic, hyping the dudes up in the dugout, and he's pretty good with like speaking and rah and stuff like that. So I could definitely see Newt being that type of guy going forward.
Newt's an international superstar.
He's everywhere right now. He's really built his brand. He's no Ohtani built his brand, but Newt's built his brand.
He leveraged Ohtani, which is fine.
That's fair.
Also, I mean, not just leveraged.
He was Ohtani's wingman.
He got to hang out with him. And the WBC, not only did his team win, but the attention, it's a bigger deal in Japan than it is here, period. Right?
Right now.
They had, I think, better than Super Bowl numbers for the WBC, right?
Oh, it was something like crazy. One of the games was like 93% of households.
That's insane.
It was insane that we're watching it. That had TVs. We're watching the Japan finals, the finals against the U.S.
Do you notice anything different this year with Newt because of that? I'm not saying with you guys. I'm saying, like, are there more fans coming up to him? Especially, like, let's say there's international fans that know about him from the WBC. also, is he walking around like, yeah, maybe I don't have a 0.000 ERA, but like I got more followers than everyone here?
Yeah, so we used to have this thing last year in 22 where we were neck and neck in followers. I think I have like in the mid 30,000 followers, and he was right ahead of me, and we'd go back and forth. And then when he left for the World Baseball Classic, he sent me a screenshot of his followers, and he had like 600,000 at this point. And then he's like, "Dude, you got no chance now." So I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna hang him up. I got no chance now. I'm never catching you." And I think he's over 1 million now, and he's the same guy. And I remember in Boston there was quite a few fans there, and I don't remember where else, but there was a lot of new fans, which is really cool to see. And it's crazy to see how quick social media can help you build your brand, and how far you go with that.
Can we help him? Like, is there something that we can do? Like, you're in the foul territory, fam. One of our first ever interviews. We have you throughout the year. Like, we're starting to get some love. Like, if you combine everything we got, we probably are, I would say, about 100,000 followers between TikTok, YouTube, IG, all that kind of stuff. Like, is there anything that we can do to be helpful? Like putting clips out there, or like sharing something crazy? Like, how can we help you catch up to Newt besides obviously, being Ohtani's wingman?
Yeah, I don't think I have a fighting chance in that one, no matter what we do. I'm not much of a social media presence anyway. I don't really care too much about it. I've had it since it came out, since I was in high school, and just try to use it and make the most of it when I can.
All right, well, we're gonna try. We'll think of something.
We'll help.
Todd's got some homework.
Most.
You might have to run out of the bullpen like with your boxers and jersey on, something like that, and
go viral.
Go viral. That might work.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Trip on purpose when you come out for the opening day announcement.
Don't do that either.
Don't do that.
He doesn't need $2,000.
Look that up. Right, exactly. $2,000. How about 2.7 something million?
That's what he needs. He needs more views.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ryan, we'll keep working on it, and we'll check back in a few weeks and see what we come up with for you. Okay.
Cool. Sounds good.
Cheers, man. Keep doing your thing. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right. I'll see y'all.
Okay. See you soon. Ryan Helsley of the St. Louis Cardinals joining us on FT Live. Nootbaar took a jump.
But isn't that the point kind of like, to me, I think that's what MLB kind of squashes down. Like, don't sell yourself. It's the team kind of thing. Look what Nootbaar did. And I really honestly, if you look at Nootbaar's numbers, good player. He came up in a lot of like, oh, I'd love Lars Nootbaar. You hear Yankee fans, I would love to have that guy.
During the deadline, they were like, I want him. I'm like, you're not getting him.
Well, you're not getting him. No, he's not, but he's not an untouchable player.
No, he's not a superstar.
But when you build your brand, I hate, there's a negative connotation of building your brand. It's like you sound like you're a selfish person. You're just putting yourself out there like, this is my personality. It might not work in your city.
Yep.
He might, like, look at Schwarber. Schwarber has ingratiated himself, Harper with Philly, because of who they are. Yeah, they've played well, but it's from who they are, and that's how you build your brand. And to me, that's how you get maybe an extra year on contracts. And I might be emotional players that they're not doing that. I think it works.
I can give you a good example of how I think building your brand needs to be looked at as a positive in the bigs, because right now I know I've heard that where I've talked to players where like you're talking off camera or whatever to a player, like, how's that dude? They're like, oh, he's building his brand, and it's like, it's a negative. It sounds diss.
Selfish.
Yeah, and my answer, I didn't say it back then, but my answer would be, is he building his brand or is he contributing to the game? Because he's bringing more eyeballs to the game. Guys always say, how can I give back to the game more, right? I can't connect with every kid. I can't do this and that. That's why I just sign autographs. I'm like, that's cool. That's nice. That's great. But you're every time you do that, you're connecting with one person.
Yep.
When these guys do this sometimes to a larger crowd like Nootbaar, right? When he speaks, when he puts something out there, when he does another interview, you're connecting with thousands of people at a time versus the one autograph. The autographs are great, right? Like Judgy and Trout and some of those guys, they're great. Before every game, they'll connect with a kid and they'll change his life, right? By talking to him. But the other side of that is doing shows, doing a little more on social, right? Even if you need help, like your agency needs to help you, that's actually giving back to the game. And I don't know if guys realize that. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree. And I think we've always said this, that baseball gets a bad rap. Like, what's going on? Like, why aren't they being why aren't we getting this craziness about baseball like football and basketball do? And I don't know. If MLB is trying to hold that back, I don't know, because guys like Mike Trout should be the voice of baseball, the guy that's, speaking up for everybody else and that kind of stuff. But for Newt, it's great because he's got other countries that are following him too as well. So you get a different perspective from there.
But I think it's baseball was wrong in trying to make it Trout. Trout's the best player. It doesn't mean he needs to be the face of baseball. He doesn't need to speak up for baseball. That might not be his thing.
It's not.
But let guys that is their thing shine it in a positive light, not like, whoa, you know what? This guy tweets 6 times a day. He's probably a distraction.
Yeah, it's not.
Because you hear it. You hear it from the PR guys. You hear it from, like, even some of the PR guys.
Don't be that guy.
Don't
Come on.
Don't do too much because we don't want too much on your plate. What do you mean? Like, this is my plate. This is my career. It is short. It is a short career.
Also, you're making money for your squad, right? This is how I would have a conversation with an owner. I'd go, oh, you think Nootbaar is too much on socials? He's got a bunch of Cardinals fans in Japan for you now that are coming over spending money at your ballpark. Think about that. That are buying your merch. Seriously, that's real.
He's posting pictures of Cardinals. Every time you get your brand, your image, a team's brand and image out there, it builds it. To me, that's where we got to build all of MLB. Like, even if you raise MLB by 1%, everybody, the entire MLB, look at the attendance is up. Philly's attendance is up by over 9,000 fans this year per game.
Wow.
Because they built a team.
Also with stars that are marketable.
With stars, yes.
They're doing it right. On that topic.
Give me that thing. We almost broke them.
They should learn. I know. Well,
that's okay.
There's good news on that front.
Yes.
On that topic, if you need more about your brand, first of all, follow this guy. Single him up. But also, his favorite brand when he's outside and it's sunny is what he's wearing. Our friends at Shady Rays. So if you're looking for high quality shades, not breaking the bank, Erik Kratz, where's yours? That's your camera.
Singles
right there,
here.
baby. Shady Rays has lost and broken replacements that will hook you up with a brand new pair. No questions asked that they'll send you if you lose or break the current pair. Like, I'm handing it off to Kratzy like that and I make a mistake. Kratz would never do that. I would. Also, if you don't love the pair that you pick out, you can exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. No risk when you shop. Look as cool as Kratz and hit up shadyrays.com using the code FOUL, FOUL, for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. It's their best deal of the year. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. All right, FT fam, ready to get the crowd involved here? Actually, we could get the actual crowd involved here, but also the online crowd. We're going to do it a little early because then we'll get Lance after that. Lance Lynn will join us. We've got a lot of topics to cover with Lance. You ready to hit the gritty?
I just did hit it.
You did?
I just hit.
Did I miss it? Oh, there it is.
Oh, Jesus.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, I've seen it. You sent it to me.
Oh, right. I sent it to you. This is our first time on the show seeing the
here
gritty.
we go.
Ready? So, top, we've got the Brewers, the A's, and 200+ strikeout seasons from a pitcher. Left column, Cardinals, Orioles, Twinkies.
Are we timer today?
We're timer today. Apparently, we're timer every day now.
There
because
it is. Okay.
Remember, MLB came out, what was it, a week ago, and said the playoffs are going to have the same rules and they're going to have the pitch clock and all that. So we
have to get
decided
playoff
same
ready.
things, playoff mode.
Yeah.
And also, people have lives. So
with our first guest is when our first
guest
guest
is when we
the
go.
timer
I like
starts.
to let you absorb it. You know, it's kind of like a 30-second grace period, and also for our crowd to absorb it here in the YouTube chat.
I have no clue right now.
On any of them? My whole thing is I always have names, but the names are often the names that you don't want to throw out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I am
But
not
you're-
good at this game.
But you are a superstar. You like the superstar guys.
Yeah.
We all have our crutches. You like the 20%ers.
Well, I think we're starting in 4 seconds. 3,
Ready?
2.
Danny Valencia.
Clock starts now.
Which one?
It's time to hit the gritty.
Danny Valencia. You want Danny Valencia A's and Orioles or A's and Twinkies.
Do them both.
You can only do
No,
one.
you can only do one. I would say,
A's and Twinkies.
yeah, A's and Twinkies.
A's and Twins. Danny Valenti, great call.
And the crowd is active today. We're already getting a lot of
Get
guesses
some help
from
the
our
crowd here.
crew.
if they
Oh, that's
know.
a point, John. I like that point,
Yeah,
John.
nice start.
There you go. Good hit. Good start. Justin
Jonathan
Yamas. You got
Scope
one?
with the Brewers and Twinkies.
Oh, yeah. Jonathan
Scope.
for the Brewers and Twins.
SCH.
Okay.
OOP.
And you want me to give you some from the crowd right now with some ideas? First off,
2%.
It's good,
we've
Kratz.
got Justin Yamas saying Milwaukee, St. Louis, Kyle Loesch. Too
It's a good
common.
one. I mean, it's a good one.
No,
He said,
Kyle
what about
Loesch.
St. Louis, Oakland, Dick Allen?
Oh, boy.
St. Louis, Oakland.
Yes.
Wow. That would be tremendous.
Dick Allen.
I definitely would have no idea. Dick Allen, big Philly guy. I watched him in a home run derby when he played for the Phillies between a doubleheader.
Dick Allen.
He was retired already, and he came out and just hit dingers.
Here's one thing I've been picking up on, and maybe I'm wrong. The further you go back, the better off you are. No?
For sure.
Sometimes, though, you'll be like, I've got a really obscure bench guy. But it's like, if he played in 2009, you're covering a lot more humans, right? Like, the younger crowd that plays this game, they don't know Dick Allen.
They don't
right?
know Dick Allen. No.
Okay.
And I wouldn't have picked that one, but that is tremendous.
Luke Skywalker said A's, Orioles, Edwin Jackson, who works for like basically any of these. But we could. We haven't used Edwin Jackson
Let's
before
go,
on a
Edwin.
gritty. Let's do it. Edwin Jackson.
What percentage is that one?
Patel.
It's a low one, isn't it?
3%.
Somebody
Nice.
sent me one that did it, obviously, when the grid first came out, had me on there, and it was 100%. I was like, you were the first person to do the grid that day.
I got
That's messed up.
St.
That's-
Louis, Milwaukee. Let's try Royce Clayton.
Nice. Did he play on both?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Royce Clayton,
Number?
I love it. See, I love the bench. See, my niche is the bench guys, but obviously I get into trouble with the whole minor league Jones.
All right, halfway through, we got 4 left. We got to start getting some 200K guys.
Yeah.
Jesse
Cardinals.
Orozco.
For where?
Brewers and Orioles.
Really? I had no idea he played for the
Wow.
What number is that one?
Brewers.
What was that?
That's a
0.8?
point. That's a point.
We're
John.
hot right now, baby. Give me a little. Let's go.
Boom.
All right, so
done.
now we need our 200K guys.
Yeah,
We got
need
2 minutes.
200K guys. This is where we lose our points.
I got one for you with the Cardinals.
Maybe
Darryl Kyle
Darren
Wow.
Kyle. Wow.
or Lance Lynn we could do, but
How about
Did he
did
get
Lynn pick up the
200?
Ks though?
Does Jim Palmer get 200 K season for the Orioles?
I mean, I know
Yeah.
he's at 200 innings.
But Jim Palmer's going to get a
Yeah,
lot of
Jim
love.
Palmer's
No?
gonna
Not
get a
necessarily.
ton.
Can we do Darryl Kyle for Cardinals?
We only get.
Why you
we
worried that
can't be wrong here.
Kyle picked up Ks, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Oh,
200 Ks, I don't know.
And I blew it.
This is where he wants to force quit. He's
All right.
angry.
It's been a
Todd's
good show. See you later, everyone.
I gave 2 good ones here, and you give me Darryl Kyle. Man, God bless him.
Orioles, Twins,
Johan Santana,
Frank Viola.
Frankie V.
Did Frank Viola get up to 200K dollars?
At this point, you go for it. Shoot
Did
Hail
Wayne,
Marys.
did Wainwright
Yeah, I
go?
wanna go.
Did Wayne get 200K season?
I'm sure. Let's do Frank Viola, and then let's go Cardinals. We got to go Lance Lynn to check it out. My guy's coming on the show. That's a negative, Ghost Rider. That pattern's full.
Oh,
I mean, Lance Lynn, if he didn't get it, we'll have to ask him about it.
This was so
Oh,
promising to
God.
start. We got destroyed. That was embarrassing. I think we still have to throw it up on all of our socials just to show that we are real and we make mistakes. That was terrible.
That was definitely not our fault.
was
That
terrible.
was Todd's fault.
Yeah.
Also, look at the 6 that we started with. That's the column I always struggle with is the stat
I
stuff.
don't like the
the
stats.
stat
I like
ones.
the, I like
I don't
the,
like the stat ones.
I like who they played for.
Come on, Gritty.
We can't make this game just about you though. It has to be.
Yeah,
Well,
we could make other
cut it out.
versions. I feel like
Yeah.
there's got to be an alternate version
about
that
Got to
doesn't have.
expand. He
I
wasn't a
don't like the
baseball
stat
card
ones.
guy. He wasn't a baseball card guy.
Me? No, I
Yeah.
kind of was. I wasn't like obsessed with certain stats, if that makes
There
sense.
you go. I can.
I'm not like,
you
oh,
weren't a
did
big
he hit
Cal Ripken
200
fan.
Ks?
He wasn't a Cal Ripken fan. For
Oh
most
no,
of your fight.
that's one of the stats. That is a stat I like.
I know, Bus. I knew
I'm not
you
a
would like
wins
that.
guy. I'm not a Ks. Like overall Ks. I'm saying I'm not like, oh, did he hit 200 Ks? Like even when the milestones pop up during the season, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. You know, I know it's a big deal for the individual.
It is. I've just read that Lance had 198 strikeouts 1 year.
Well, we'll tell him that he ruined us. I
Sorry.
don't think
He
Lance is
ruined our
a.
gritty.
I don't
I'll
think
tell him
Lance is an
it was my
immaculate
fault.
grid guy.
You don't think so?
Do you?
No,
Let's put it down. What do you think?
I don't. I'm going to say 100%.
This is a yes. This is a Yerfie or a Nerfie?
No.
No runs first inning. Lance Lynn as.
I'm gonna say yes. He's
immaculate
done
grid guy.
the immaculate grid before.
Well, there's a difference.
But did he do it and finish it or just done it?
Is he a
Just done it.
regular?
No, he's not a regular.
No chance he's a regular.
I don't even think he's done one. I'm going to say. I think he looked at it like this in the clubhouse and said, "Rook, get that out of my face."
Yeah. The only chance he's done one is if someone
If
like
he was
brought it
on
to
it,
him
yeah.
and showed it to him, and they
Yo,
were
did
like,
you
"Yo,
play
you
for
want
the
to?"
Brew Crew?
Yeah.
No.
Man, that's
We'll see.
disappointing. All right, let's hit hot corner
hit the
before we
hot
get to
corner.
Lance. Let's sizzle a little bit. That's the only time we're going to talk about the Angels in actual game besides, their boy Ohtani or Rendon and we tried to make it through a whole show without talking about them, but they had a weird game yesterday. Rengifo got hurt on deck. I mean, anything could happen, but Sam Blum, who covers the team for The Athletic, said something happened to Rengifo in the on-deck circle. Not sure what it was. Didn't get to the plate. Being looked at by trainers and now coming out of the game. And then Grichuk comes in and actually was a big factor in the game. I mean, it really goes under the weird injuries. Although there's way weirder injuries, right? You hear about them off the field. I mean, this is at least something on the field. I mean, you've probably heard of guys always would get hurt taking swings, hurting their oblique.
Listen, I've messed up on the on-deck circle in high school. We had a little circle. I swung. A guy was behind me. I didn't know. Mike Whartonby, his name was. I hit him square in the head with a metal bat. He went down like a ton of bricks. I felt terrible. But
Is he alive?
he's alive.
Okay.
But he was.
He did say his name was Mike Worldly.
That's why I was worried.
I was just.
He's not dead.
You guys take
Metal
everything
bat.
I say. Yeah, metal.
Well, we're just listening to the words that
No,
you
you
said.
know what? Listen to something else.
Oh, okay. I was going to say
Wow.
the only person I thought was ever going to hurt himself
Wow.
on deck was Hunter Pence, and his on deck swings
They were something else.
were
Violent?
unearthly.
He would.
He would swing so hard and so weird that his belt buckle was turned by the time he'd come up to the plate. Funniest thing I've ever seen, but not funny. I saw Ryan Braun would stand on the top step.
and take hacks.
They weren't hacks. He would stand on the top step with the weight on, and he would do this thing
Yes,
and
that's
this
what I
thing,
meant. I'm
and
sorry.
then he'd look around, and then he'd twirl his bat, while another dude is on deck,
I remember.
and guys
watching
are
it.
like, "What is he doing?" And loop, he got Gene Segura. Like,
not Mean Gene.
Were you on the team then?
I was not,
Did
but
you
I
hear
saw the video.
Did Segura get pissed off? Because I know
No.
obviously it's an accident, but it's like, dude, you're doing this every day in the dugout. Brawny, you got to do it somewhere else. Move over.
I guess they know
That-
they should get out of the way of him. He does it all the time. It's not like a one-shot.
Yeah, but then
deal.
they need to make like a penalty
Yeah,
box
but he's
for him.
doing it. Yeah, but
It's
he's doing it at the
dangerous.
top
That's
step.
where the manager stands.
Yes, and like
There's
counts
not
is
endless
over there.
space
Like,
in the dugout.
there's not. You should not be swinging a bat at all in the dugout. Even dudes that are pinch hitters that have their helmet on and they're standing there like this, like waiting to come up. Like, you're taking up too much space. Go in the cage. Go
Yeah.
somewhere else.
No, I agree.
But it worked out for Grichuk. Grichuk friggin' comes up with a walk-off hit
Yeah.
after Rengifo, whatever he hurt.
And Grichuk's probably feeling like, because I read a really good story about that whole dump deadline where the dudes were all like, they had a meeting with Angels brass, like what's going on, the whole thing. And Grichuk didn't get picked up. So he's like, take this. Anyway,
Twice.
let's get to our dude. What'd you say?
Did they put Grichuk on twice on the waiver deadline again?
Yeah, he's on it again. You're right. That's true. Lance Lynn got moved to a contender, and he joins us right now. Lynn of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Where are you, dude? Are you on the golf course right now?
No, I'm actually downtown DC, seeing some monuments.
Oh man, you are in the disaster zone right now. Dude, have you? I'm talking about the team. Have you heard about? I'm not going to ask you about the executive stuff with Rizzo, but did you hear about Strasburg? That tomorrow they were going to have this whole retirement ceremony and a whole deal there.
Number retirement.
Did you hear about that?
I heard that was all going down, and then everything got canceled. That's the only thing I've heard. I've not heard why it's gotten canceled or anything like that, but just heard it did.
Would you like to player to player fill them in? Like, how would this go? Okay, like paint me the scenario, right? Like Lance comes into the clubhouse, you're on the team with him, and he's like, "Yo, why is it all crazy here this weekend? It's the Nats. Like they're not even in it right now. Like what happened?" What would you tell him?
You're like, Lance, dude, they're about to retire this guy's jersey, and then they were like, "Nope, actually, we're not retiring the jersey." How do you feel about that?
Hey, wait, one more. And we want to maybe get some money back on your contract.
Your guaranteed contract.
I'm going to tell you, and we all know that we know this is business, and we're not surprised they're trying to get money back. So I'm not surprised at all about that idea. But man, what the guy did for the organization, I mean, literally threw his arm off in that World Series to help get him a World Series. The money stuff, you're gonna argue over that, but you don't take the retirement and the retired jersey number away. That means something special, especially to what he brought to this city with the championship.
Yeah, a championship with guys like Ryan Zimmerman, with guys like Trey Turner. Do you feel like that kind of puts a stain if you're an ex-Strasburg teammate who was looking to come back for this ceremony, puts a stain on what you think of the organization as a fellow player?
There were people with flights booked, they made plans to come do this on Saturday. It's tomorrow.
Yeah, no, you're when you see that and you see how it went down, there's a lot of you're trying to figure out what happened. Where's the disconnect? Who's pissed off who here to make this happen, and then I don't know Strauss well enough to know anything that went down, but obviously something's gone down where everybody's upset about something for you to stop a moment like that with people coming into town. So hopefully some more things come out, and hopefully they get it resolved so he can have it. But it's obviously a tough situation going on right now with what was supposed to happen.
One more on this. So if it was you, like let's say the Cardinals were like, "Hey, dude, we're gonna retire your number and do all this," and then they kind of pull the rug out, and then eventually they fix it and they're like, "Dude, we messed up, all good, like let's do the retirement ceremony next year and the whole deal." Are you the kind of guy that would be like, "F you"? Like after all that, I'm not calling my family friend again.
I think you know the answer to that one.
I just wanted to confirm.
If I'm that FU guy, yeah, I am. So I think it would be a tough pill to swallow. But I will say this: in baseball, we've all seen time heals a lot of wounds. So you can't sit here and say, "Hey, I'll never come back" and stuff like that. But I will say it would take a while to get over.
Hey, I want to ask you a question here. Be a straight shooter here. How does it feel giving up 40 home runs this year?
Dude, it's unreal. It's unreal. It feels like every ball put in play is a home run. I don't know how to say it. The other day, they either got a bunt or a home run hit. I don't know how to explain it. You make pitches and then you're getting outs, you're getting ground balls, and then all of a sudden you make the same pitch and then 40 homers, and you're just like, damn, the hell. I'm in the point right now where this shit's happened. So you gotta sit here and say, all right, who gives a shit? We got to keep attacking. We got to keep trying to get outs because hell, you already gave up 40. So there's no point to worry about the ones you've already given up. Let's make sure we're making pitches so we try not to give up anymore.
What's the number going into the season? You're going to give up homers, and I always tell people that the best pitchers, Cy Young guys, are going to be up there in the league lead because they're attacking guys. They don't walk guys like you. You don't walk guys, so you're attacking guys. It's going to happen because you're not afraid of a single swing. Most of the time you're coming out top. What's a number for a starting pitcher? Is it one less than starts? What is it?
Yeah, you're to be honest with you, you go in every year, you're like, man, you try to keep it under 20, to be honest. And then if it gets to that to where, hey, you give up one, if you're less than one to start, if you're attacking, striking people out, that's you can't be mad at it. But when you start getting to where, you're giving up, when you're over one to start, that's when it just kills you, man. but you try not to walk people. You try not to do those things so they don't hurt you. But as of lately, they've hurt me with multi-run home runs. The solo ones won multiple games this year, giving up solo ones. You just got to make sure you don't give up the big one. And lately, I've been giving up the big one.
Hey, I heard recently you had your credit card stolen, man. Tell us about that story.
Yeah, well, you go out in LA. I don't know if they got a system in place or something. I'm sure they do, but yeah, credit card. We got a call saying people are buying up everything from T-Mobile. I think they bought tried to buy a whole store with a credit card. So, yeah. So I was like, I don't even have T-Mobile, so that's definitely not us. So we got it all situated, and then the holiday weekend didn't help anything getting cards out and stuff like that. You know that nobody works with cash anymore. You're like, hey, can I pay for this coffee with cash? Or like, time out. No. I'm like, well, you either take the cash or you don't get any money for this coffee. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, what's that about? I'm with you on that. I always have cash on me.
Yeah, so you have cash. You're like, hey, I want to pay for this $4.99 coffee. Like, hey, and they're like, hey, you got your card? And I was like, dude, I don't have a card on me. And they're like, well, we can't accept cash. And I was like, well, thanks for the coffee.
That's funny you say that. Or I've had one where they're like, hey, we don't have any change. We can give you the bills, but we have no change left.
Yeah, perfect, cool. Here's $5. You can eat the 25 cents then. That's on you. Like,
I know why.
It's because they want that extra dollar.
But also, it's in a similar category of why your credit card got stolen. Bad actors that say, oh, it's cash and my boss isn't here and whoop, it's going in the pocket and you track it all this way.
Yep, true. And I understand that. But man, when you're looking at trying to just buy a cup of coffee and you can't pay cash for it, that's a tough spot.
You still get the envelope? You still get the big league envelope every road trip?
They ain't the big league envelopes we used to get. That's for sure.
That's right. They put it down.
Can you explain for people that are on the outside that didn't play ball?
You might as well just give it back to the.
What's the big league envelope? Tell everyone.
You give it. It's the meal money. So you get you get your meal money each day, and it helps pay for your clubhouse dues and stuff like that. Now they don't get the meal money, and then now you don't have clubhouse dues. So it's pretty much the same thing. You just don't get the cash to do the tips and stuff yourself. So so now it's just turn around and give it back to the travel guy just to tip him out and say thanks.
So you get no cash. It used to be $100 and
like $5 a day.
Yeah, it would fluctuate about $105, $106 a day. You go a 10-game road trip,
you're rich.
It's real easy. But those envelopes, I think we talked about this earlier. Those envelopes never came sealed. So that traveling guy's like, he's handing you the envelope, and then he gives you time because he hands you to sign it. You got to sign it. Everybody has a list, and that time, you're allowed to get in there and
give some back.
Get that $100 bill back.
It's a solid move.
Yep.
It's a solid move.
It lines his pockets.
Now you get a 10-day road trip, and I think you get like maybe get $150 for the whole trip. So you're like, here you go, dude, just keep it. you can have it.
That's good.
Thanks. Just keep helping me out at the hotel every once in a while.
Lance, so when you just went through the credit card situation, did you have to ask like a teammate, like, yo, dude, can you pay for something for me until I get my car back? And if not, who would you ask? Like, who's the first dude on your new squad you'd go to and be like, hey, Rich, man, I need some help?
Oh, dude, I got 3 I go straight to. It's Mookie, Freddie, and Jay. It's like, hey, fellas, I need some cash. I need some help here. And they wouldn't bat an eye at it, and they're like, give me back whenever you can. So, and they're not hurting for it either. So
no, they'd be like, give it back or don't. I won't remember anyway. Yeah, I've got so much.
Here's a couple hundred. It'll be fine.
How's Mookie feeling, man? We saw he was on crutches. Have you talked to him today at all or anything, or no?
Last night it was sore. So everything that we heard last night, it's no brokes. All the scans came back. It was just bruised pretty bad. So they were just trying to make sure they kept the pressure off of it, so it wouldn't swell up. So hopefully, keep the swelling down today. All that stuff gets out of there, and give them a day or two just to get the swelling out, and should be in a good spot. So I'm sure we'll know more today when we get to the field.
I got to take you back to some stats. We were talking about the home run stat. I want to talk about the strikeout stat because it's kind of a 2-part piece here. We got screwed on the Immaculate Grid today because you fell 2 strikeouts short of 200 one year. We thought you were a 200 strikeout guy, and it hit our gritty. We didn't do well in the grid. So 2 questions. Okay. What the heck? You couldn't pick up 2 more strikeouts that year? And Do you play the Immaculate Grid?
I do not play the Immaculate Grid. I've heard some things, and I'm that old guy now, so some of the kids will come up and be like, hey, like when you came in, can you give us a name of somebody we wouldn't know? Stuff like that. Because, you've been on a lot of teams and you know a lot of people. I was like, dude, you can tell me I'm old. That's fine. I'll see if I can help out. And then, I think that year I was at 198 or something like that. I got to 200 innings. I think I was at 201 innings, and they were like, hey, you got over 200 innings, you're good. And I was like, no, let me go back out see if I can get a couple more punchies. And they're like, no, you're done. I don't remember what the ERA was, but they're like, hey, everything's in a good spot. You had a good year. You're done. And I was like, no, I'm trying to get 200. They're like, not too bad. So that's what happened.
Too bad.
When you say they were saying this to you, do you have a name so that we can at least like blame our loss today on a particular human? Like,
I'm going to tell you that it was pitching coach Derek Lewis. He's like, hey, you've had a good year. Like, don't go out there and try to get too, because I think we had already clinched a playoff spot and all that. And it was like, hey, you're good. Get ready for the playoffs. You did everything you could this year. Let's not chase something and then have something go wrong. And I was like, I respect it, but I also respect 200 punchies.
And September 8th, 2023, Derek Lilquist ruined our Friday.
Yeah.
You never
Playoffs
knew it,
are
but he
better than
ruined
the
our
grid.
Friday.
I get it.
Yeah,
playoffs
it
are a
was.
big deal.
I understood the process, but it was like, man, 200 looked good on the back of the card.
Yes,
Hell
it would.
yeah. All right, question for you. Fresh news today. Walker Buehler, who I don't know if you've met or talked to because he was rehabbing, but the team sent out the official release because we were following the progress. Like he did the rehab innings, a couple of them last weekend, looked good. And they came out and said, I'm coming back from TJ. It's quick. We're going to shut it down and we'll try it again next year. Your thoughts to that? Because obviously that's a big blow to the team because he's been a dude in the playoffs, would have been like you in the playoffs, but also your perspective on how that is for a pitcher to be figuring out, like battling back from a second TJ coming into a playoff race and talking with the team and making sure he takes care of himself too, because he's not Mookie, Freddie, Hayward Rich yet.
Right. And I think there's a lot of things that go into the second Tommy John and stuff like that. He's done a great job to get himself to where he actually threw in a game this year and got on, got some, doing some rehab up downs and stuff like that. So I think that all in all, with you looking at career second Tommy John, everything was really being pushed. And when you come back at the end of the year after not having the year of stress and then go straight into the playoffs, that could be in a spot to where it puts his career in jeopardy, and it could put the team in jeopardy if he just not having the year under his belt of pitching and stuff like that. So I think all in all, I think he's in a good spot because he was able to get back. But Walker wants to pitch and he wants to help the team win, and he knows he's capable of that. But it's also make sure you got to protect yourself, and you got you're in a spot that is weird with the second Tommy John. You got to make sure you do everything you can to make sure you can hopefully have a good run there and become that make that money for yourself, but also help the team win more than just this year.
Yeah, good call. And so how do you feel right now with where the pitching staff is at? Because obviously we're not going to go over the case. No one's in on that unless you've got something for us. But Julio Urias obviously is on admit leave. He's probably not going to pitch for the rest of this year either. So you're becoming if you weren't already, a very important acquisition for this ball club because they're losing some of their vets right now. Obviously a guy like Buehler who is not coming back, and then a guy like Urias who I know he's had his ups and downs on the mound this year too, but like he was leading the team in innings.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at, Buehler and Urias not being there in the playoffs, if they were, that would be, enormous boost for a team. When it comes down to it, we've got some young guys. Pep threw the ball well last night in Miami, obviously. And then you got you're seeing what Bobby Miller can become right before your eyes as a rookie. Getting confidence, his stuff's electric, and more he pitches, the better he's going to be. And when it comes down to it, we got to be better. Kirsch and I got to be on our game, and if we go into the playoffs with a version of that, with some other of these guys' arms that can throw some bulk innings, just to make sure we don't overuse the one inning guys, I think we got a real good chance. And obviously our offensive defense play well, and we pitch up to our capability. We can beat anybody. So when you look at it, we just got to, Kirsch and I got to figure out how to, be ready to rock in the playoffs, and then also help these young guys with the emotions that are going to come with it.
See what's behind him right now?
The
Behind
monuments.
Lance?
Yeah, he's doing all the monuments. I want to know what's your favorite what your favorite thing to visit is while you're there, or is the wife
No,
like, we're gonna do this?
So we live in Illinois, so we got to go see Lincoln Monument for sure, right? Old Honest Abe.
That's your
Yep.
boy.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's the best backdrop though we've had probably.
Oh,
yeah, like
for
It's just American as fuck. There's really no other way to say it.
America.
you are American as fuck right now. I love it.
That is, and you're with the family. I would never make you choose which of your kids is the favorite, but some of the kids on your team, which of the kids, the rookies that you were just mentioning, is your favorite and you think is going to be the best, or is just an absolute dude that you're like, I like this guy. He could be a Lance Lynn in 15 years.
So we got some good ones. I've got to spend the most time with Bobby so far, so that's an easy one for me to pick at the moment, just because he's been here. Some of these other guys have come up and down and done some spot starts, so I haven't really got to know him yet. But Bobby's personality, what he goes through each day, what he does to take care of himself as a young guy, has been pretty impressive. And he's got a desire inside him to be good, and he gets frustrated when he doesn't dominate. So we got to learn to make sure that those wants are still there, but also figure out how to not let them consume you, where it takes you away from what you're trying to do that day either. So I'm gonna go with him just because of the we've gotten to know each other so far, and it's been fun.
Lance, your former ball club, which is not a playoff contender. I know you're happy to be on the Dodgers now. Made some switches. So since we spoke to you, Kenny Williams out, Rick Hahn out. I know you spent some time there. And we got some of your thoughts, right, last time about the White Sox. Since then, though, Chris gets hired to run the show there. What kind of relationship did you have with him? And what do you think, good or bad, about the White Sox moves? It's not just Getz. I think there's been a lot of public scrutiny because no matter who it was going to be, if you don't interview dudes outside of the ball club, it's just not a good look. But that's Jerry's team. So your thoughts on what's gone down since in Chicago? Like, you think they're on a better path?
I mean, when you look at some change, even if it's some internal change, could be good because you get some maybe Getz can get some of his thoughts across and things like that. Now that he's the sole decision maker on the baseball side of things. When you have that, Getz understands it. A lot of the guys that came up through the minor leagues knows him well. So I think that's going to be the big thing moving forward. So hopefully he can push some things across and really get things moving in a direction for the whole group. I know that he's got some good ideas just from when I had some interactions with him while I was there, and now it's his show. So, just for having teammates there and friends, I hope it goes well for him and all that. And I will tell this, like, Jerry is Jerry's, the one thing is Jerry doesn't throw anyone on the bus and all that. He's a very loyal person, and he trusts Getz, and he's known him well. So it's your team, your organization. If you feel like him being the guy that picks all the decisions and all that, and you're loyal and you trust him, I respect it. And you just got to see how it works out.
Now, you said he played. What do you think the difference is when a GM is somebody that played? Like, how's a GM who played going to interact differently with you or with players?
We all know this. When the guy played a little bit, or even the assistant GMs that played a little bit, they come up and talk to you. You know that they understand the grind. They understand the human element of things. They understand that you're not going to feel good. The body hurts and stuff like that. Sometimes you feel like some of these guys that never played have sometimes they don't understand it. And that's it's all right because that's just the way it's built. But the fact that he did it, he struggled. He went through the ups and downs of being a player and knows that there's a lot of failure in this game. Could be good to help a young team.
We'll finish with your dude Kershaw. So the question, and then I'll provide the context. You probably already know this. Like, are velo readings overrated sometimes? Because his velo was down last start. Obviously, he was getting crushed in the clubhouse by the media, being like, "What's wrong? Is it your shoulder? Whatever." And he kept being like, "I'm fine." So, do you think, especially with a veteran like that, like, he is fine and leave him alone, and he would kind of let you know if there was something going on? Because he's usually actually been pretty transparent about like where he's at, and we know like he doesn't usually make 30 plus starts anymore. He's been around for a while. But like, it seems like he knows his body, and if he's saying he's fine, he's fine.
Yeah, obviously being his locker mate and getting to talk to him a little bit physically and everything. He's in a good spot. So I think he's a little frustrated that it's not coming out the way he wants right now. But I also know that he's doing everything to make sure when it comes time, it's going to be ready to come out. So he came back. Where did he go? He threw some sim games and then came back and got right back into games after the layoff. I think it's going to be truly seeing some build up. And right now is a great time for it to have that little area where you're kind of down because you're going through getting back in the flow of things, multiple starts, multiple innings in a row. So I think down the stretch here, we'll be in a good spot, especially moving into the playoffs, kind of building back up.
Can you send us a picture of
What?
you and Abe Lincoln?
Yeah, you got that.
Done.
I'll send it over to Frazier in about 30 minutes.
Please
Perfect.
text him,
Appreciate
and
it.
we'll put it on. I know you're not on social, so can we share it?
Yeah, sounds good. Yep. Oh, Lance
a
and
little
Honest
Gloria next
Abe
to him,
here in
too.
DC.
Lance and Abe, who's got the better beard? All right, perfect. Thanks, Lance.
Thanks,
Have
bro.
fun out there, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Cheers, man. Lance Lynn of the Dodgers with us in DC on the tour. Love that.
The Dodgers,
The Doyers.
not the White Sox.
Who said
Wow. Shots fired on a Friday.
it? I'm out of here.
Last thing we'll do is we'll take a caller for you coming up in just a sec through AMP, our newest spot to be able to listen to the show live. Basically, like little online radio for you. Todd Father's getting like mentally prepared for the call.
I got to go here.
I mean,
When your
obviously
cousin calls
we'll
again.
take one.
It wasn't my
I want to
cousin.
get a Reds caller soon, because I feel like because
you
Todd
just need him
Father's
to call
here,
in.
right? But you're here. And you're doing some Yanks pre and post and all that, right? You're doing some Yanks coverage, but you did some Reds too. That's the playoff team. That's the contender.
No doubt. And they're right there just like everybody else.
Are you nervous? Are you proud?
I'm excited.
He's hungry.
Yeah. They haven't, because you know what I thought about?
Hungry.
They made the playoffs in 2020, but that was the
Nobody remembers
COVID
that.
year, and there were no fans
They
there.
did make the playoffs 2020?
Are you saying it's sarcastic?
The
or?
Reds made the playoffs 2020.
Yeah.
Man, I'm losing it. I don't remember that at all.
The Marlins made it too. Do you remember that?
Nah,
Marlins
I
were in the
played in
playoffs.
2020.
For the Rangers, I know.
Yeah, how do you know more than me than I know of me?
Because it's you.
It was that was Bauer. They had a good pitching staff. Who else?
All right, now I remember.
And then
Cy
a lot
Young
of the dudes
Bauer.
were gone. I mean, Luis Castillo was on that
one-
team.
That was 60
gone.
games. I got you.
It was a quickie, and I will say it was a quick stint in the playoffs for them. I don't think it was at the playoffs they didn't score. They barely scored. They scored one run.
It was a standard Reds playoffs.
Yeah, it was bad.
Like, hey, we're here. Oh, man.
Yeah,
Like, make sure you get some shirts on your way out. Another sweep.
How sweep it is.
yeah. But anyway, there were no fans there. Now, if they make it, fans are back.
Yeah, it'll be-
So
It's exciting times. It is.
the city's going to freak out.
Go nuts.
Oh,
Absolutely
man.
nuts.
September.
Especially with Joe Burrow starting a quarterback, too. It's going to be a nice little contrast. Of,
Joe Burrows could buy the friggin' stadium now.
Joey
He could buy the whole
Biscuits.
ballpark,
How you doing?
right?
The fan attendance for the Reds has been up, and it needs to stay up. But I need to see you. I need to see you back in Cincy.
Should I go?
I don't know. We'll see. I think you would get the boys hype. I think you get the boys hype.
Sneak peek. Okay, we've been throwing hints out there. Let's slap hands.
Look at his smile on Scotty. Like a proud papa.
I am just slapping hands with my friends on a Friday. So
Slapping hands.
let's bring in our callers. So we are on AMP. You can follow us at Foul Territory if you want to talk to us at the end of a show. You can be that caller. So let's bring in the caller, unmute, and tell us who you are and who your favorite ball club is.
And where you're
What's your
from.
question? Trying it out. This is what happens on the
You
radio
gotta
too all the
unmute
time.
yourself.
This is what happens.
Unmute yourself, maybe. Unmuted. We don't hear anything.
Say your name. Say it with your chest.
We hear nada. Just letting you know. So we might have to try it again another time.
That's okay.
Wah, wah. Oh,
I heard something.
I heard them. I think we dumped the call.
That's okay.
Oh, I think I heard what he said. Yankees are going to make the playoffs.
I actually did some numbers for you. I actually did some numbers for you on that.
Here we go, Mr. Numbers.
They have
Numerals.
21 games. How many games do you think they need to win
15.
to make it to the play? They need to win 15 games. So they're going to make it into the playoffs as an 86-win team.
Yep.
86?
86 wins.
86.
86 wins. I have to pull it up because I did this.
But they're playing
these
against teams that are in the playoffs.
I get it. I get it. So you're
All
saying
right, they got to go 16-5, I'm going to say. Sorry.
You're saying
16.
16
wins.
87 wins. I'm sorry, 86. That would be 86 wins. Okay? So you're
And they're
telling me
playing
that
Toronto 6 times.
you're telling me Toronto only has to win 9 games for the rest of
It
the
has to be
season?
done. It has been done before.
What kind of numbers are you putting on that?
I'm putting it even.
Even money? I'll take it.
I'm
I'm
looking at
zoning out trying to figure out if we can get our caller in, but I'm
I would love
hearing
it. I would
some
love
really rough math.
Yeah. I would love for him to get in.
because if it's only 5, that means
Oh,
they have
who's
6
out?
series
Then
left.
who's
The
out?
Rockies went 20-1 the one time. Let's go.
The
Who
Rockies
is
had
completely
odd
falling
team.
apart, and it
Who's
needs to be
falling
2
out?
teams. 2 teams need to completely fall apart.
Go
Oh, I
back
think
to
I hear
that.
someone.
It's not happening. 2 teams. So
Toronto?
Texas has shown that they can fall apart.
No, Toronto.
They're
Toronto.
3 of their last
You
7.
need one
and
team.
What are you talking about? You need
Seattle
to
and Tampa
leapfrog
Bay are in.
Boston.
They'll get when they kick Toronto's behind. They'll just keep going. Texas is going to fall off. So I'm not worried about Boston. Carabas can.
You guys haven't
kick
beaten
rocks on
Boston like 5 of the last 6.
It's not how you start; it's how you finish.
It is how you started.
I'm getting slap happy here because I got a long night ahead of me.
It's the first 8-2 stretch that they've had in a minute, and you're on your
they
high
go,
horse.
If they go 16-4 in their next 20 games, watch out. Let's do it.
16-4.
I got to leave. I'm out of here.
That's
man.
it.
No.
We're done. Yeah, we can run the music. Kratz hats.
My guy Jesse got himself a new jersey today, signed. So I had to wear my Kansas City Royals
It's got a little dirt on it.
BP.
Little smudge.
Wore this one in Japan. Hapone.
Wow.
Wow.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Very nice.
I wore this in Japan, so I played first base in Japan. That's why it's black dirt.
Game
And
used,
it's
you
BP.
can't have
Fell
it.
off the base
That's
and
it
head
for
to the
us.
ground.
Cheers and props to Borgata in Atlantic City for hosting us. We're back on Friday of next week. And a quick reminder, the Bet MGM Sportsbook and Bar is where sports fans all watch sports. Visit theborgata.com for details. And we will see you on Monday on FT Live. Bye.
Get